Welcome back to Macrodosing. This is episode 21. Is it 21? Holy shit, really? I just guessed 21 and I was right. That's got to be worth something. It's episode 21. It is the only podcast available on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher. The only one you can listen to. Thank you for tuning in. It's me, PFT. We got the whole squad here today. Coley's back from his sex vacation. That's what they're calling it, right?
Yeah. So big time sex haver.
No longer a virgin. Coley Mick, the McMahon, is married. Congrats, Coley.
Thank you. Our 2-year anniversary and our wedding were the same weekend, so that's always good.
I love that. Do you feel any different now that you're officially married?
Not really. We got married in a court in New York City 2 years ago because we were having the kid. We were already engaged. We got married, and then we were supposed to have it last year. Some things came up, got in the way. So it was more just like almost a relief that it was done with, because it was like there's only so many times you can relook at seating charts for a year and a half.
Yeah, I like that. Well, congratulations.
Thanks, pal.
I saw that Dwayne Haskins, when the thing that happened with him like last week, his wife got arrested for punching him in the face and like knocking his tooth out. I guess they were in Vegas having a vow renewal ceremony. And if you're 24 years old and you're renewing your vows and you're having like a big party for it, you might as well just tell everybody, hey, we both cheated on each other. So can you come out to Vegas and we'll just try to start. Let's just blank slate, clean page for both parties. And we're going to send out invitations for it. That would be the first thing that went through my mind, at least.
I don't know, that was a weird story because I thought I saw that he'd gotten married and then the story was about something that happened before they got married.
I might be wrong about the timeline, but I do know that he was renewing his vows. Yeah. Which when you're 24 years old, it's like, wow, okay. Loud and clear. Got it. We all make mistakes. We got Arian back. How's it going, Arian?
I'm chilling, man. How you living?
Good. Living that shore life. I don't know if I saw a bunch of people tagged you in the picture of me with a dog in the water. That was probably very triggering for you. So I might have to update your filters on that one.
It's not triggering, and people keep tagging me in everything dog now. Like anytime there's people loving dogs, they tag me in it. Like
sounds awful.
Like it boils my blood, and I just don't. I couldn't care less. That's what's funny. I don't know.
We got the whole squad back here in the studio as well. Billy was very hard at work on today's episode. Billy, to his credit, put together a hell of a sheet. We've got a great sheet for this episode. It's going to be a good one, too. I know that Big T's been fired up about this for a while. Just ready to, like, chomping at the bit to get into the old yellow journalism. And I think we're going to touch on yellow journalism in many different eras. Like, going back, you're going to do, like, Ben Franklin, right, Big T?
Yep.
So we're going to go way back, and then there's stuff that we can talk about to this very day right now. So I don't know. Anything you guys want to get into off the top? Anything not directly related to yellow journalism, but stuff you want to catch up about?
Yo, you know what's wild is like this is supposedly one of the best finals that have been in a very long time, and I haven't watched one game, dog. Damn. I feel horrible.
You're anti-small markets?
No, it's just I have so much shit going on that I really just forgot, and like I be watching the recaps on Twitter and shit. Like am I missing out like that?
Yeah, especially the last like 3 games have been just incredible.
The crowd reactions for the last game, like I feel like Phoenix and their fans have had such a great postseason, and all of it was undone. I'm sure PFT will disagree because he was loving the fans in Phoenix last game, but it was just like it felt like a wannabe Lakers game with that crowd.
Yeah, I think what happened was a lot of the Phoenix fans started to read the press clippings a little bit. And they started to almost become caricatures of themselves. Whereas before it was like just a bunch of pure weirdos out in the desert in Phoenix, like a bunch of outcasts from LA that moved down to Arizona, got into the heat there, and then they just walk around delusional all the time, whether it be from sweating too much or doing whatever designer drugs they got going on in the valley. Just like the most pure version of Arizona bros. And then at the last game, there was that one dude that I actually kind of like the guy with the money.
I hate that fucking guy.
I love it for how ridiculous it is because, like, the dude went to the ATM. Actually, he probably had to go to
a bank.
Either to his bank to withdraw the cash, or he had to go to 3 different ATMs, Because I think usually you get a $500 a day limit, right?
Or he's a dope boy.
Yeah, I was going to say, judging, I don't want to be insinuating too much, but those might have been transactions where he acquired those hundreds.
The only reason I disagree is because they look pretty crisp. They didn't look like they had been rolled into tightly wound circles. And they don't
listen, I don't think he was using them. I think he was a supplier of sorts.
But still, I don't know. I guess I'm not an expert in buying and selling drugs, just using them. But if you were to like be committing all these transactions, you're not getting like freshly pressed $100 bills, right? Like they've passed through a couple people's hands because you have that like $9,000 a year limit or whatever in cash that you can put into a bank before it starts to trigger federal like red flags. So I'd imagine that cash gets passed around.
Yeah, from my experience with movies and things of the like, they're not even like testing the product with the bills. It's always a knife. There's always a knife being stabbed into a package and a very small amount being brought out.
Yeah, and also I've noticed that the cops in movies a lot, they just like put it on their tongue real quick. And they're like, this is good shit. How do you know, officer?
Yeah, what's that training session like where they're like, all right, today is the day we do heroin. You're going to differentiate between black tar and something very stepped on.
This is Eastern Colombian. Yeah, no, Venezuelan. It's Venezuelan. Yeah, I actually had an idea. I don't know if you guys would be into this or not. I was talking about this a while ago, but do you know how, can you just like look up online how to make crack?
Yeah.
It's that easy? You can just Google how to make crack?
Yeah.
It's one of those things like Googling how to make a bomb. Like you're going to end up on a list somewhere, but the information is for sure available.
Billy just switched over to incognito to Google it. The screen, the frame went black on it. No. I actually think that might be a fun science experiment to do at some point.
Oh, if you go on DuckDuckGo and search how to make crack, you get much better answers than Google.
It's a good search engine.
Can you tell us how to make crack, Billy?
Cooking crack cocaine, how crack is made. Here's a step by step.
First, call up the CIA.
Yep. Supplies you will need: a small glass container to heat up the coke.
We got to make you know how
Pyrex, yes.
There are a shitload of like maybe boomer age, maybe a little bit younger age, like TikTok stars that are doing like stay-at-home mom type things. Like, here are some hacks on how to feed your kids. We should do one where it's like quick, easy recipes for the whole family on how to make the best crack cocaine. It'll last you through the week.
The surprise ingredient you might not have expected: mayonnaise.
Jesus.
What the fuck, man?
So, Billy, go off.
But yeah, to answer your question, Arian, it's a great finals. Giannis the beast.
I'm out on Chris Paul, by the way. I don't know if you guys...
What took so long? I saw you guys talked about that today, like debating whether or not. And is Chris a friend of yours, Arian, or is that James?
Yeah, that's the homie. No,
okay, well, yeah, he's a scumbag in between those lines. All four of those lines. He's been a cheap shot artist. Julius Hodge is still tweeting negative things about him for something that happened about 20 years ago.
But this is what I don't get though. Like, if you've played competitive sports, like, there's just like two type of people. There's the little cornball in that basketball commercial who's like, "Coach, I stepped out."
It's off me.
There's them niggas. Yeah, it's them type niggas. Or it's like you out here trying to win at all costs. Like, give me Pat Bev and CP3 all day on my squad. Like, of course I don't like them when they're not on my team, but like when they're on my team, I love that shit.
I get it, but even like as an ardent Marcus Smart defender, like there is a line, and Chris. Like, you just don't punch, like, and I know this happens a lot in football, you just don't punch another guy in the nuts and he just won't stop doing it.
Now I think it's corny, right? It's corny, but like, you just trying to like fuck with him. Like, I get it. Like, there's cats that used to twist ankles, grab nuts. It was weird, weirdo shit. But like, I get it. Like, I wasn't like, I didn't want to fight him. You just trying to win.
Definitely. But the other part, Pat Bev and Chris Paul, career losers, haven't won anything.
That ain't their fault. Like you can't like you can't like it's hard for a scoring point guard without another centerpiece that complements your game to win a championship. And
Definitely.
it's hard. It's hard. And so,
Definitely. My biggest complaint with Chris Paul, not even with like the over the line shit he does from time to time, it's just like it's always with his fans. His fans so quickly. It's like Mike Trout fans. Mike Trout fans 3 years into his career were like, "Oh, he's better than Barry Bonds." Like, no, he's not. Let's calm down with that. Very early into Chris Paul's career, they were trying to leapfrog like Jason Kidd, Gary Payton, and just be like, he's the best we've seen since Magic. And just like, how about we just tone it down a little bit? Like, yeah, he's an all-time great, no question about it. However, he's not the best point guard of his era. So why don't we calm down with that?
he's not the best point guard of his era. All right, give me one.
Jason Williams.
No.
By the way, the highlight reel that went around of Jason Williams last week, it's unbelievable how many incredible highlights he had. And it wasn't like the longest career. He had a good, solid career. But his highlight reel was probably like 9 minutes. And these weren't highlights of like, we'll show you one pass and then 3 alternate angles of the same pass like they do to stretch out. Usually it's a soccer highlight. They'll show like 5 minutes of different angles of the same goal. But this was just straight up like 9 minutes of nothing but dimes from Jason Williams. It was incredible. Yeah. But I would say, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd.
No, I do think he's past them. Steph is better. He just is. He goes out of his way to embarrass him.
But is that CP's era?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Paul
I'm saying like the last 20 years. Chris Paul was drafted, 3 years before Steph Curry?
05, yeah, and Curry was like 09, I think.
Yeah.
But, okay, so who dominated for a longer stretch?
Steph Curry.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, hell no.
Listen,
I'm a Steph fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Steph fan. He's the Hall of Fame, one of the best. I think he's the greatest shooter of all time. But no, Steph ain't start bombing like that until it was maybe 3 or 4 years in his career, and by that time CP3 was already all pro.
Steph came out. I think the first year of his career was his lowest average, and I still think it was 17. Like, just because people weren't giving him the credit doesn't mean he wasn't really hooping that.
I could be wrong.
And I'm a big LeBron's a point guard guy, so I think LeBron's the best point guard of the last 20 years. Like, he's never played with another ball dominant player his entire career. The offense runs through him. He averages 7.5 assists a game for his career. Like, he is the point guard. So I think he's the best point guard. And he plays pretty much the same way as Magic did. I don't know why Magic, everyone agrees he's a point guard. LeBron's this big argument.
Coley, trivia question, because this haunts me to this day. Do you remember who the Hawks drafted instead of Chris Paul?
Marvin Williams, of course. Come on.
Yep. That's why I hate Chris Paul, just because of what the Hawks did.
Well, that's not his fault.
I know it's not, but I still, every time I see him, I'm like, damn, should have been a Hawk.
I'm just out on Chris Paul now because of that foul that he had on Giannis it was egregious. Like, he tried to, he could have very easily hurt Giannis if Giannis wasn't just like a huge freak. And somehow, after he dunked the ball on the alley-oop, he continued to levitate after he let go of the rim. There was a picture that was taken of him a split second after he dunked, and he was behind the backboard and above the backboard. It's like, how does that even happen? How is it physically possible? But Chris Paul, my whole thing is if you're going to be a wimp, you can't also be the dirty tough guy when you know that there's no chance of retribution. And if you are, then you're just a complete heel. I don't think that's him trying to win at all costs. I think that just goes in Chris Paul he's just kind of a wimp. He's a bully. He's a little bully that I think is afraid of anybody getting physical back to him. He thinks he's above having somebody come at him in a physical nature because he's Chris Paul, but he's allowed to do it to other people.
I think that's the one thing where it's hard for me to watch basketball and the style that's being played is the fucking flopping, dog. It's just
he's the king.
I cannot stand that shit. It's just so fam, it's just fucking stop that shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting.
You should love Giannis then, because he's just brute force all 24/7.
He don't be flopping. It's been a while. I didn't watch basketball at all this year, actually.
Was it a China thing?
Yeah, my roots is deep, dog.
We haven't actually. I don't think we've addressed that on this show. What do you think, Arian, about if there's a island being built in the South China Sea, what country does it belong to?
if there's an island
I'll
being
put
built
it-
in
I'll-
the South China Sea,
I'll back it up a little bit. Let's go back to fishing rights. Let's just say that a flounder gets caught off the coast of Taiwan. Who owns that flounder? Is it Taiwan? Is it China? Is it Laos?
well, nobody.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. Okay.
I don't even believe in ownership like that. Like we're all gonna fucking die, bro. Like we don't own shit.
Yep, you're right. The NBA playoffs, the finals have been incredible. Just like there have been like 3 signature plays from every single game so far, and the ratings are way up compared to last year.
Last year, but 2019 they're down like 4 million. They're down like 30% compared to.
They're up from last year though.
Well, right, but last year was playing in a Mickey Mouse. They were literally playing in Disney World in a thing with no fans, and it wasn't real.
What about 3 years ago?
2019 pre-pandemic, they're down like 25 to 30%, and that's without Nielsen didn't count Toronto because it's not in the United States. So it's actually down more than that.
I'm actually okay with not counting Toronto TV
Yeah,
viewership. They all watch
don't
at the
count.
Toronto Tavern anyways.
Yeah.
Just one screen. It's hard to track that down.
I don't understand the people who are so obsessed with viewership. Of like the only thing that goes up in viewership is the Super Bowl, and that's just by proxy of there being more people alive. Everything else across the board goes down. NBA Finals have never come even Game 7, Cavs Warriors didn't touch Jordan numbers, and it's just like, yeah, they're never probably going to do that again. There isn't a Michael Jordan again.
Well, it's not just that, but they had like 5 channels back then.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like, we're never going to be able to replicate that again unless they do it like, I don't know, for some reason, like anytime Viacom has an award show, they put it on every single channel they own. Like they'll have the BET Awards on Nickelodeon. Like it's a very strange way they go about rigging ratings for their favor. So unless the NBA starts doing that.
I think that, if you look at the way that they do right now, do they still use the Nielsen boxes, or do they have a more advanced way?
It's mostly that. Some they start to usually streaming comes out after. Like the day after you'll get the
Right.
Nielsen ratings, and then later it'll be like, oh, we also had this many streaming.
Do they take into account that one guy that's like streaming on Periscope, and then and then like when it goes to commercial break, he flips the phone around. It's him and his buddy on the couch, and they're just like looking at the phone, and every 5 seconds updating how many people are watching, and then they turn back to the TV. They should incorporate that too.
It's like a really flawed system anyway, because like how many like really like, unless there's like a special case, right? But like how many like weird ass niggas is sitting there watching the NBA Finals or Super Bowl alone in their house? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're always with like 5-6 people. Like so it's like how they're not really that accurate.
Well,
though.
doesn't it? I'm not positive, but they account for that, right? Like it's
How?
I think it's the household. So the number of people, I think they take, it's usually 2 or 3 per box, right?
I think it's 4.
Yeah.
But that's still
Right,
It's
right,
like they're not
yes.
like our bars,
Plus five
Nielsen,
good.
Right.
shit like that. Like
Okay.
I don't know. I think I read earlier, or I know I read earlier this year, NBA as a whole, so like all NBA accounts had the second most amount of video streams on Instagram. Period. Like I can't remember what was 1. NBA was 2 versus not just sports. Everyone who put videos on Instagram. So it's like. Yeah, we can keep talking about TV ratings, but it's 2021. Does that really even matter anymore if they are the most social league, if they do have the widest reach out of any sport?
I can't imagine going to a bar for the Super Bowl. That must be just an
No.
awful experience. Going to Buffalo
No.
Wild Wings, you don't even hear the commercials.
I would argue that the commercials have taken a spiral down since I was a child, and maybe I was just impressionable, but them shits is just not good anymore.
No, yeah, the last like 5 years have been not good.
But it also could be because we're just so like inundated with entertainment that like we're just not that we're insatiable. Like you just can't be impressed anymore.
Yeah, I think the default reaction to any Super Bowl commercial, unless it's outstanding, is just people going, "That sucked." What the fuck were they thinking about with that one? And then getting mad about it for some reason. Like people got mad at the Dolly Parton commercial where she sang 5 to 9 because she was singing about like the gig economy or whatever. And people were like, "Fuck Dolly Parton." It's like Dolly Parton has actually like created tens of thousands of jobs for some of the most poor people in the state of Tennessee. You know that Dolly Parton also like sends books to I think every first grader. I want to say
The Imagination Library. You sign your kid up and you get a book every month in the mail.
Yeah.
And she gave $1 million to help develop the Moderna COVID vaccine. At Vandy.
Yeah, but her Super Bowl song was distasteful to 10% of the population. So fuck her.
Yeah, we don't.
Dolly Parton is a goat, but
We don't tolerate Dolly Parton slander.
You know, Dolly
No, we
Parton,
don't.
Was it Jolene and I Will Always Love You? I think she wrote those two songs on the same day. Which is, if that's true, that's the most productive 24 hours anybody's ever had. Ever.
Just had a fucking sandwich in between two classics. That's pretty dope.
Whatever I ate for dinner the night before, and like however I slept, I would do that every day for the rest of my life, trying to replicate that day.
She has it's like a, I don't know, a theme park. What is it in
Dollywood?
Yeah,
Dollywood. Yeah, I took a shorty there in college, man, because it's right by Knoxville. A couple of the homies, we went up there and had a little, couples date in Dollywood. Yeah.
How was that? I've never actually been.
Except for his girlfriend was a fucking weirdo. So like we all split the cabin, but like I split a little bit more, and so like we got the master bedroom, right? It was like one little cabin, and so like she was pissed off at him, like so she wasn't talking. So like the whole time, like first 2 days she was just like this, she just wouldn't talk, and I was like, what's wrong with your shorty, man? She's like, she mad because y'all got the master. I'm like, my nigga. What? Like how fucking old are we, dog? So like I had to move all my stuff down just so she had a good time, and then she was all happy. It was the fucking corniest shit ever. But dude, I had a good time though.
Yeah, what does the master suite look like at? Was that at Dollywood? Because I know they have a resort there.
No, I don't think it was that. I think it was just like an outskirts cabin.
It's in Gatlinburg, so there's all sorts of.
Don't Dolly explain.
I didn't know how many times. I'm not explaining. I'm explaining Gatlinburg.
I've been 3 times.
Oh, well, you asked.
I asked Arian if he was familiar with.
Out of control. This show.
I've been to Dollywood many a time. Don't talk to me about Central Tennessee. I know more about Central Tennessee.
Central Tennessee?
Yeah.
Oh, this guy. Okay, just wait till that comes out. Wait till that comes out, pal. Yeah, he just ruined it. He just lost.
The Gatlinburg community is going to be up in arms, and you know
You're
how
about
much
to
they
get
like to be
murdered
up in
on
arms.
Twitter.
You want to talk
Tennessee,
about
dog.
You want to talk about
Tennessee, dog.
Murfreesboro? I'll talk to
Also,
you about
it's Middle
Murfreesboro.
Tennessee. It's East,
Murfreesboro.
Middle, and West. You just lost it.
So it is actually in the center of the state.
No, it's in East Tennessee.
No,
It's
Nashville is. Nashville
Yes.
is.
Let's see where Dollywood is. I was also like
it's East
9 and
Tennessee.
10 when I went there.
It's
Yeah.
East Tennessee. You gonna
Oh, is it in Pigeon
Oh
Forge?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
super east.
Yeah.
It's damn near North Carolina.
Yep.
That's in the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah.
Yep.
Congratulations on just learning that when you were talking about how knowledgeable you were about Dollywood and East Tennessee.
Listen, when PFT's there, he's so focused on Dolly, everything else is just it's irrelevant.
I go nuts about Dolly. And actually, okay, I'm looking at this right now. Here's how I look at the state of Tennessee. Anything west of Bristol is Central Tennessee. Because Bristol is like, I get to Bristol, I'm like, I'm in Tennessee now.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything after that, you're either on the way to Knoxville, you're either pre-Sundome or post-Sundome.
Sunsphere.
Whatever. Am I going to get murdered for that too?
No, that's more. Well, if you'd watched The Simpsons, you'd know it was the Sunsphere. Though.
You want to talk
That's true.
about? We could talk about Lynchburg, Tennessee. What do you know about Lynchburg?
Jack Daniels.
Dry County.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure is. All right, and that was Lynchburg talk.
You want any other Tennessee cities we want?
Oh, Memphis.
Yeah. Clarksville, the start of the KKK, wasn't it? Was it Clarksville?
One of them. There have actually been 3. One was Stone Mountain, Georgia. Clarksville was one of them, though. Yeah.
Wasn't where Larry Bird was from the other one?
Salt Lake.
He's
Larry Bird's
from
Tennessee.
no, he's from
Salt
Terre
Lake,
Haute, Indiana, right?
Is it KKK
Yeah.
like Abraham Lincoln? There are 3 different states that are
Well,
claiming its ownership.
No, they started like 3 different ones, I think.
Who was the first?
One K in each state.
Like they started it went away. They redid it. It went away. They did it again.
He kept rebooting it.
I think that's my understanding.
Okay.
Third time's the charm.
We can talk about the Bass Pro Shop.
Oh no, I was wrong. So
Pulaski, Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
Clarksville.
origins. So my bad, Clarksville. But I mean, shit. I'm pretty sure I got some racists over there. So whatever.
At least one.
Matter of fact, that was one of the times though. So like, an unnamed coach. I don't want Tennessee Twitter after me, but like an unnamed coach told us when we first got there, it was like, don't stop in that city. And we was like, all right, on your way. Because it's on. I think it's on the way from Knoxville to Nashville. And they was like, don't stop in that city. That's what they told us. And I was like, okay. I was fresh out of California, so I was like, I'm not definitely stopping in that city. Then.
They said it was like a sundown town, or just like even when the sun's up.
I don't know. It was not at that area, but I think it was just like you'll probably maybe have some problems there. That's what they said. So.
In general, it's just a good idea to never stop when you're on a road trip. Like, just don't make any casual stops ever. I learned that when I was driving back and forth from Austin to New Orleans. A lot of places in East Texas that are just underrated, terrible, terrible places to pull off unannounced. Like, you have to know somebody in that town.
I just got in last night. I took my kids to visit my mom in San Antonio. And we stopped at this gas station / McDonald's, and that was the first one I've seen that there was gas station / McDonald's, and there was like really weird, dog. Like there was flies all in there and shit, but we was hungry, so we ate it.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about the play pits the other day at McDonald's. I used to know where every play pit was in like the North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, South Carolina area. I could tell you which exits had the McDonald's play pits in them. And people were like, wait, I feel like there aren't as many play pits anymore. It's like, no, I don't pay attention to it. I don't have that eye for play pits that I used to. But I think they're still out there, right?
Mm-hmm. Did you know that in the continental United States, you are only 120 miles away from the farthest McDonald's at any one point?
Billy, you talked about that last week.
Did he?
Not on this show.
I don't remember that.
I didn't hear that fun fact, so I enjoyed it.
Billy, did you drop that fun fact offline?
No. Oh, it was on Lowering the Bar, JK.
Yeah, no, it was literally like there's one place in Nevada that is the farthest place on the continental United States you can be from McDonald's, and it's actually like right by Area 51.
Oh, that's wild.
So like if you're anywhere in the continental United States, like there's a McDonald's like at least 2 hours away from you.
I love to play place, a good play place where you could just hop in the ball pit, then hop out and get some fries, burger.
Got the slides.
Underrated breakfast.
Nothing like it.
McDonald's has underrated breakfast because you can actually request a real egg.
You can get an egg on your burger there.
Yeah, get the round egg. Request a round egg. That's a real egg.
PFT.
Wait. Back up. Avery, you can get an egg on your burger at McDonald's?
If you request it, they will give it to you.
At any hour of the day?
Yep.
I'm going to order one right now on Seamless. Let's see. Let's see
Just
if
a
it gets
single
here.
egg or like a...
See, on those apps, though, they sometimes make it to where you can't customize shit. It's bullshit.
We'll see. Also, Big T, more like Big Narc. Big T just tweeted out right now.
First of all, it's promo for the show.
If you live in
you're
Tennessee,
welcome.
there's a moment in the first 20 minutes of tomorrow's Macrodosing pod you absolutely have to hear. PFT commenter may not be welcome in the state ever again. Because I accidentally thought that Dolly would, which I've been a patron of, and which I was telling you how great of a place it was. I didn't realize on the map where it was because I haven't been there since I was 10 or 11.
You have no idea how upset people will be about that.
More upset than when their patron Saint Connor was caught wearing a Georgia Bulldog shirt.
When I was 6 and buying my own clothes.
Are you telling them to stand back and stand
allegedly.
by on PFT?
Okay. First of all, it was stand down, which is very clearly...
He didn't say stand down.
He said stand down
Stop
and
it.
stand by. It's a quote. Go read it. Go read it. It's a quote.
I'll read it. I could be wrong, but even then he said stand by.
Yeah, I
You
don't
might've-
listen. I don't want to get
might've-
on the side of arguing for what other people said because I don't know what he meant. But he did say the word stand down.
He did in fact say stand back and stand by.
That's what I thought.
Okay, stand back. Get back. Go away. Stand back.
Are you telling
bull.
Tennessee people to stand back, or are you telling them to stand by?
I'm telling them that they should listen to Macrodosing. That's what I'm telling them. That's called promoting the show. How many tweets have y'all sent out for tomorrow's episode?
Well, we're doing the show
We're
right
doing
now.
the show.
So
So first to promo.
Well, I'm about to tweet out like Connor spent the entire first half hour of Macrodosing on his phone. It'll shock. Everyone's going to be mad at him.
This guy's
Listen, the Tennessee people out there know that I love them. I've got family in Tennessee.
That's
I used to go to Tennessee all the time when I was a kid. Love it. Love Nashville. Love Memphis. I love the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid.
Where's Memphis?
Memphis is as far west in Tennessee as you can get. It shares a border. It's on the Mississippi River. On the other side is West Memphis, which both of those are north of Helena and West Helena, historically one of the most violent cities in the entire United States.
There you go.
Where they had, you want to talk about a sundown town, Helena and West Helena, you weren't allowed on the. No one was allowed on the streets after like 5 p.m. for like 5 years. Like they had people that would like I think the National Guard or maybe the State Guard was rolling through there just arresting people who happened to be outside their houses. Crazy place. I went down to Big West Helena.
MLK died too. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. MLK was shot there. They have the fourth best barbecue in America in Memphis.
Ooh, who's your one? Because I tweeted this out recently, and I want to see if you agree.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, of course, yes.
You know that. You know how I feel about Brooklyn barbecue.
You're right.
I would really piss everyone off if I said North Carolina. But North Carolina is my number 3 barbecue.
Number one, and I don't know if everyone's had a chance to try it, is far and away Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. No, I've heard about that because they have the invasive pigs
Oh yeah,
that they
take,
barbecue up.
I think it's a technicality you working off of, but you're not wrong.
They're making barbecue. Obviously, it's in a different fashion, but it tastes. And I'm sure it has something to do with the environment you're in. You're already happy. However, it was some of the best food I've had. Period. Regardless
like
of
when you cook the pig in the ground.
Yep.
Like that shit is wild, dog. That shit is like you talk about meat fall off the bone, dog.
Mhm.
Oh my god, yeah.
They have like heavy like influence from like the Pacific, like Filipino, like the Filipinos. They do like baboy, which is how they do it, and it's like crazy.
Yeah.
Like Korean barbecue.
I feel like they're in the perfect place. Like they can borrow from some of America. They can borrow from Asia. They kind of can fuse it all together.
They're definitely in the perfect place. That's this is fucking paradise.
Oh, what's
There was one I had at it was at Willie's big party that he threw not too long ago, and he had these pigs that were strung up and like just fire just going off in front of him, and they weren't even in the ground. They weren't rotating. It was just a pig that was stretched out, tied up by its 4 legs, and then just a fire that had been cooking it for like 12 hours. And it was some of the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. I think it was either Argentinian style or, I don't know, it was somewhere in South, maybe Chilean style barbecue. I had never had before. Incredible.
Yeah.
But I would say I have not had Hawaiian barbecue. I would love to. If anybody out there runs a Hawaiian barbecue joint, let me know. I love Texas barbecue. I think that's my number 1. And then number 2, I would go either North Carolina barbecue, which is going to piss a lot of people off, or I would go Kansas City barbecue.
Kansas City's my 2, all because of that time George Brett brought us barbecue. That was some of the best. Like that was candy, just happened to be meat.
Mm-hmm. I would put like Cajun Louisiana barbecue. It's similar to Texas, so I'm kind of lumping that in together a little bit. That's probably unfair. People are going to get mad at me for that. But then I would probably go Memphis right after that.
You should have to say Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee barbecue. Memphis style dry rubs though. I'm a big fan of those.
Because Nashville has some spots, dog. Oh my god. So Tennessee's probably my number 1 barbecue state.
It's good. Texas. It's a good state for barbecue. Actually, it reminded me we need to find an official macrodosing athlete for the name and likeness thing that we can sponsor. Mm-hmm. I was thinking maybe a player at Tennessee that embodies the spirit of Arian Foster the most. Like, who hates their coach the most at the University of Tennessee? And I feel like that's our guy. Can you try to identify that player, Arian?
Well, you know who it was, who's now gone.
I don't hate my coach, man.
But it would have been Jawan Jennings, who got kicked off the team by interim Brady Hoke for going on Instagram Live and talking shit about how bad Butch Jones and all the coaches were. Before the last game of the season, it was after Butch had been fired, and Brady Hoke, who was the interim coach for a week, kicked him off the team. And then Jeremy Pruitt got there, and he was like, yeah, we really need that guy. He's back.
Yeah, you should not be allowed.
Why'd you kick a kid off the team for that? See, that's the type of stupid shit, man. Just dumb.
Yeah, and he wasn't even the real coach.
Just dumb. You can't play anymore because you have opinions. Fuck out of here. But let's find him. I'm down.
Yeah, maybe not the player that hates his coach the most. Maybe the player that
just a rebel.
Yeah, that hates the whole damn system.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's
yeah,
do it.
I can find that.
Yeah,
if you a collegiate athlete, preferably black, that doesn't fuck with the NCAA, doesn't fuck with the whole system of exploitation in general, holla at us. We got some dollars for you, family.
DM us on Instagram. Also follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, I
Macrodosing
tell you
Pod.
what, Madeline, you're a huge University of Tennessee fan, so I want you to be in charge of this effort because
Okay.
I feel like you know the most about the program
Yeah.
and about the players and the personalities there.
I'm a diehard.
Yeah, so I want you to lead up this effort for us. Can
Okay,
we?
cool. Yeah, do they have to go? So they have to have gone to Tennessee, preferably black,
They're at Tennessee now.
at Tennessee. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and play football.
Yeah.
Do we-
Communist.
Communist.
Doesn't just have to play football.
Okay,
We
yeah.
prefer football, but like
Okay.
find me a black tennis player that's a rebel. That's fire.
Sick. Okay, I can make that happen.
We'll call them, the Arian Foster macrodosing athlete.
Yeah, DM us.
Yes.
And I'll look through. See
Yeah,
if there's anyone
I think we're probably gonna have to do some legwork because the chances of that person
listening to
currently-
macrodosing.
Well, currently following the accounts on social might be low. I don't know. I don't want to cast any aspersions out there, but we might have to do some digging on this one.
Yeah, DM okay. I'll look through the Barcelona athletes and I'll find some, and then also if we can get any through our.
Well, also,
Listeners.
just like look up information about University of Tennessee athletes in general. Like you might,
So they might not even be a Barcelona athlete yet.
yeah, you might have to go ahead
Oh.
and find this
And
person.
find them.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do that. I can make that happen.
Yeah, you might need to talk to what's the Tennessee college paper?
Wait,
the
Madeline,
Daily
you know the
Beacon.
answer to this one.
Yeah, it's the Daily Orange.
Yeah, the Daily Orange. So
she
you
missed
should
the last
contract the Daily
Yeah.
Orange.
Actually, we should
I-
get a wheelhouse and just name it Foster's Home for NCAA athletes.
That's good, Billy.
You guys
what?
probably never knew that.
Yeah, you
show.
guys don't know what to talk
I
talking
do.
about.
I do.
Nah.
Wait, do you guys know what we're talking about? You might.
Nah.
BT.
What?
Yeah, I never watched Cartoon Network, but I know what you're talking about.
Well, there used to be a Cartoon Network show called Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and it was a bunch of like little creatures that were this little kid's imaginary friends. but
Well, no, they were imaginary friends of kids who had grown up, right? And they all went there because they didn't have a kid anymore.
possibly. I'm gonna be real. I don't remember that part, but like it was a bunch of creatures and little imaginary friends, and we can make them our NCAA athlete.
We
NCAA
could
athletes.
skirt around some copyright laws with some
I feel
gear.
like Cartoon Network's chill about that kind of stuff. I don't know.
They ain't going. I wish they would.
Yeah. They won't. They don't have it in them. All right, you guys want to get into some yellow journalism?
I did want to say before we do, Ken Jack listened to our episode last week. Friend at the office, friend of the show. He said there was a mass hysteria event that he wanted us to share. I guess you can say this is mass hysteria. Have you ever heard of Polybius?
No.
Crazy. So apparently there's this arcade game that everybody remembers it existing, but it doesn't exist.
Oh, the Mandela effect.
Yes.
Mandela effect.
Yeah, basically it's a
should do
Mandela effect an experiment that happened in Portland, Oregon in 1981 where the legend describes it as the game was a government-run crowdsourced psychology experiment.
Yeah, I got it up right here. So
Okay.
Gameplay supposedly produced intense psychoactive and addictive effects in the player. Wait, so what do you mean it wasn't real? So
Like-
it existed, but it wasn't a real video
Yeah,
game?
so it says players supposedly suffered from a series of unpleasant side effects, including amnesia, insomnia, night terrors, and hallucinations. Everyone says basically one day the government must have pulled all the machines at once because they were all gone and nobody ever remembered actually playing the game.
That's so cool. Like, listen, I'm the first person that'll talk shit about the government when they do some fucked up stuff. That's awesome. Like, who's really harmed by that? They just picked one random town, stocked their arcades with it's probably the cheapest game to encourage people to try to play it, and then one day, just in the dead of the night, went and stole all the video games back, and they're like, "What are you talking about? That game never." That's hilarious.
So basically,
Gaslighting everybody with a video game.
so Snopes, if you trust Snopes, says that it's not true, but basically it may be an urban legend centering around two professional video game players who are trying to break records around that time. So like one guy collapsed after trying to play this game Tempest or Asteroids for 28 hours to break a world record. And basically a couple guys went down trying to like break this record, and they were like, oh, like it totally wasn't playing video games for 28 hours. It was definitely like a government psyop to like destroy, like cause these guys to get messed up. But hey,
I think they could do that honestly with the San Diego Chargers. They could just be like, that team never existed, and everybody would be like, yeah, I guess I must have just dreamt the whole thing.
It was so funny because San Diego versus Oakland is a big rivalry, right? And so, and I was in high school when they came out with this article in the paper that said has nothing to do with what you said, but it just reminded me. I said there was more arrests in the stands than there was rushing yards.
I like that. Philly probably had a couple games like that back in the day when they had like Westbrook and were just throwing, like they wouldn't ever run them. They would just throw like 10, 12 passes to him every game. Probably, I guess my expectation for Philly fans, especially at the old Vet Stadium, would probably be like, if you weren't breaking 3 digits, it was a bad day. It was an off day.
Yes, unfortunate.
All right, so I like this plebeius thing. I'm going to do some more research into that. And government, if you're listening, I know you are, or at least your algorithms are, do something like that. If you didn't actually do it with plebeius, just like roll into a town and install like a brand new game and then just fuck with them, just remove it all.
We need to do an episode of Mandela Effect.
Berenstein Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny because like stuff like that we think is like, oh, like that's like a classic, like everyone knows that, but then like it's just that we're into this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like not many people do.
Yeah, we're extremely online. That's all it is. Because like there's the one, what's the Shazam?
Shazam. Yeah.
That I think is just people have bad. I don't think that's Mandela effect. I think people are just stupid.
I think that's the entire Mandela effect. Is just bad memories.
Well, the thing is, people stopped. The original part of the Mandela effect was that Mandela died in prison, apparently. But since Mandela actually died, and his in the movie Invictus came out, like it's they've restored like Mandela's like memory that everyone thought he died in prison.
What did people think Shazam is?
They basically thought it was Kazam, but with Sinbad instead of Shaq.
Which I don't remember. I got that one. I remember Shaq vividly.
Oh yeah.
Made hamburgers.
You're talking about
that
the
was my
movie.
Yeah, yeah. People
about, like the app.
No. People,
Okay.
people like our age, like me, PFT, and Arian's age, like for some reason have this memory of Sinbad being in a movie called Shazam, but like being a genie. Like there was a movie that had the same name, kind of, and another famous Black '90s human being. Like
Gotcha.
I think they just have terrible memories. I think that's all that is.
Yeah.
I think that Sinbad implanted that memory into everybody. Just that
Maybe
more people will be talking about Sinbad. People don't give Sinbad enough credit for how huge of a star he was in the mid-90s.
Oh, yeah.
He was like the biggest comedian on earth for a span of like 2 years.
That's a stretch.
One of them. At the time, like he was Sinbad. I mean, he just went
was
by
up there.
Sinbad. He was
true.
he was the fucking
Anybody who
man.
has one name is like uber famous.
Yeah.
Who do you think was bigger, him or Arsenio?
Arsenio. That's not a
Yeah.
Arsenio, but Arsenio kind of went away.
Like they both did.
But Sinbad, I feel like, took over. Sinbad was big, if I remember, like 93 to 97, somewhere in that time frame. I feel like Arsenio was big 89 to 93.
Yeah. That could be true. Might have handed the baton off to him.
Yeah. All right, well, that was Sinbad talk. Tune in next week. We'll have another Sinbad fun fact. Actually, Big T, can you write that down?
Sinbad fun fact.
I want you to be in charge of that one. I want you to do the Sinbad fun fact of the week.
This show is so ridiculous.
That's kind of the premise. Since we were talking about arcade games and maybe only PFT cares, they are releasing the Simpsons arcade game to be purchased for your home.
Ooh.
Oh, the way you like Bart on a skateboard, right?
Oh yeah, Bart, Homer. You're trying to get Maggie back from
Marge had a
Smithers
vacuum.
and Burns.
Very sexist.
Oh yeah.
Well, speaking of yellow people, the origin for the word yellow journalism comes from. Oh no, the yellow kid.
Yeah.
Okay. I was very
Actually,
nervous. Very nervous.
I
when
was
Billy
thinking of
started
yellow
that.
cartoons. Yellow. It was there. So no.
Holy
So actually, the
shit.
origin for the word yellow news.
When you hear Billy just start a sentence with that phrase, I think everybody was like, we were all looking at Avery like, okay, yeah, get ready to hit the.
No, well, The Simpsons are a cartoon of yellow people, like
It's true.
categorically, and that's sort of the same origin of the terminology yellow news. So, if we want to get into that.
Actually, I got a quick question for Arian because I'm interested to know what your perspective on this. With The Simpsons, I grew up watching The Simpsons, and it never once occurred to me that people would think that The Simpsons are white people. When you were watching it, was it like you just knew that they were white?
Yeah.
What about you, Cole? Like,
Yeah.
you just nodded your head.
I mean, think about it. They had
black people.
characters.
Yeah.
They had Indian characters. They had all types of people, but the only people that weren't of ethnic origins was white. It was white.
I took them to always be white people. However, I do think the fact that they were yellow instead of white made other people check out the show with like less hesitancy.
Maybe they just didn't have any white people on the show.
He said cowabunga. It's white.
He said, "Eat my shorts." Like it was very clearly a white guy.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, sorry.
But Marge probably had a little cakes on her, and she had some like thick hair. So I think they try to it's either appropriation or it was appreciation.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point with Marge's hair because like that was decidedly not white people hair.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
If she wanted,
so Homer might have just been crossing color lines too. So.
All right, the Jackie Robinson of cartoons. I like it. Billy, sorry to interrupt you.
No worries. So, yellow journalism was a term that came to be coined at the end of the 1800s. So, it started as basically a new kind of news was originating, especially in Kansas City, Missouri, and it was basically about a competition between two men, Joseph Pulitzer and William Randolph Hearst. And Pulitzer is also the
Pulitzer.
Yeah, say that one more time.
Pulitzer.
Pulitzer.
And well,
Like the prize.
Mad Dog's
like
right.
the prize, yes, but isn't it crazy that there's also another prize, Alfred Nobel, the Nobel Peace Prize. Mm-hmm. He invented
Nobel.
Heard of it? Yeah.
I thought he
Is
was
it
kidding.
Nobel?
I thought he was doing a bit. I was gonna say, oh, that was a good joke, Billy.
I thought he was too, and then I kept watching. And
I was waiting to see if he was gonna laugh because I was like, oh, that was a good one.
He's consistent.
No.
They got these things coming up. They're called the Olympics. They're new. We're trying them out.
Anyway, Alfred Nobel invented dynamite, and Pulitzer invented. I've always said it that way.
Let him just go.
I just
let him
read
go.
them. Who the hell do you think I'm talking about the Pulitzer Prize with?
That's
Anyway.
fair.
The Pulitzer.
Pulitzer.
Just keep going. Do it.
Anyway, he invented
Lance.
yellow journalism with a little help of William Randolph Hearst. Basically, they were two tabloidy newspapers who you could relate a lot to the New York Post nowadays, where they put out a lot of stories. They wrote newspaper articles not for the people who read the New York Times, but for the working man who went to Coney Island on the weekends and relax with his family. Like, it was a very certain demographic that they targeted their news towards, and it wasn't about people who cared about the stock market, cared about international politics as a whole, but people who wanted to read about crime in their neighborhood, like all sorts of very sensationalized topics.
Billy, it's interesting that you bring up the New York Post and sensationalized topics, because I saw a blog that you wrote earlier today that was sourced from a New York Times headline about the Olympics installing sex-proof beds so that the competitors over there couldn't fuck on the beds.
Yeah,
it turns out that was a sensationalized headline by the New York Post. That isn't true. They're just cheap beds that they bought for the Olympic Village. In no way are they supposed to be sex-proof. But somebody reported that, then the New York Times or New York Post picked it up, and then Billy ended up blogging it out.
No, I picked it up from a tweet, not a New York Post.
A tweet from
My mixtapes.
Oh, my mixtapes. I'm sorry. Yeah. So my mixtapes, is that Pulitzer or is that Nobel?
Oh boy. Anyway, these two newspapers had these comic books in them that featured these yellow kids, and it was called Hogan's Alley, and it was basically illustrations of street kids in New York City in a fictional place that were committing several crimes and sort of were a relatable character, a little more, you know, a poor version of Bart Simpson, if you will, growing up in one of the basically like ghettos of New York City of that time. So there's a bunch of illustrations of, you know, it's basically supposed to be very comical. Like there was one, the great football match down in Casey's Alley, which is just a picture of a bunch of like, back then they used to do a lot of Irish caricatures of like Irish kids. Think of like the Mad magazine kid. Like they all kind of look like that. So this guy was like the yellow kid who was supposed to be one of these Irish caricatures of just a random street kid you'd see running around New York City at that time. So because of these comic books, these newspapers, and then there was actually a fight where the original cartoonist got sent to the other newspaper after a bidding war for journalists at one company. Originally it was with Pulitzer's New York World, and then the cartoonist was then basically headhunted by Randolph Hearst's New York Journal. So Hogan's Alleys was a cartoon, and basically since both these papers basically got these cartoons featuring yellow kids, these kids who were depicted as yellow, they then got the name Yellow Kid Journalism, which then turned into Yellow Journalism. So,
all right. Hey, now what's the
Beautiful
difference?
breakdown.
What's the difference between yellow journalism and muckraking?
I think, you know, just not too sure.
Okay, because muckraking, that's Teddy Roosevelt, I think, came up with the term muckraker, right?
Sounds right.
Where
Yeah.
he would refer to journalists that were like digging through the muck, like raking through all the shit on the street,
Yeah.
trying to find something sensational that they could write about. A lot of times that was like trying to find scandals, occasionally where there weren't scandals, and trying to sell papers that way. But I think it incorporates some of the same things about yellow journalism, like you said, Billy, on your like 4 things that embody yellow journalism.
Yeah.
Actually, this comes from Frank Luther Mott. Thank you
Yeah.
for attributing that
I
correctly.
did
Billy.
attribute it.
The lavish use of pictures or imaginary drawings, the use of faked interviews, misleading headlines, pseudoscience, and a parade of false learning from so-called experts, an emphasis on full-color Sunday supplements, usually with comic strips, and dramatic sympathy with the underdog against the system. So those are the 4, or I guess it says 5 characteristics, but there's only 4 there. Don't know if Billy accidentally deleted one of them, but those are the 4 that you highlighted. I think that muckraking probably incorporates a lot of those. It's interesting.
But wouldn't muckraking be like the antithesis of yellow journalism? Because muckraking is like, it was made to like expose bad journalism or corrupt political or economic things. Like it was kind of made to like, it was like an expose. Like, so for mine, I could be wrong.
I think that a muckraker is like an investigative journalist who lacks scruples, you know, who like might go too far and fake some things in order to get their expose out.
Gotcha.
Right, but I think even what like Arian's trying to get at, it's almost like intent. Like, yeah, the muckraker might try and do it to. It's almost like punching up versus punching down.
Muckraking is more, like Arian said, exposing something, so like more investigative, where yellow journalism is more like tabloid and
sensationalism.
This episode has been brought to you by our great friends over at Helix Sleep. I want to talk to you guys about mattresses. Mattresses are insanely important. I'll tell you this much. I did not realize how much a very, very soft mattress was messing up my sleep and my back. I switched over recently to a Helix mattress. It's a little bit firmer. And I'm telling you, I wake up in the morning feeling way better than I have in years. First step out of my bed is not a wince anymore for me. It's a smile. I'm ready to greet the day. I'm happy, and Helix Sleep has helped me out with that. Everybody's unique. Helix knows that. So they have several different mattress models to choose from. They have soft, medium, and firm mattresses. Mattresses great for cooling you down if you sleep hot, and they even have a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers. You can take their sleep quiz online and figure out what you need. I was sleeping on the wrong type of mattress my entire life, and I didn't know it until it caught up to me and ruined my back. Now I'm feeling better thanks to Helix Sleep. Helix is awesome. but you don't need to take my word for it. Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 and by GQ and Wired magazine. So go to helixsleep.com/dose. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz. Again, that URL is helixsleep.com/dose. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz. They're going to match you to a customized mattress. It's going to give you the best sleep of your life. They have a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights, risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you're going to love it. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/dose. That's helixsleep.com/dose for up to $200 off, and you get 2 free pillows.
Yeah, sensationalizing.
Right. I think it's fair. But it's interesting that you brought up like Hearst and who's the other guy?
Pulitzer.
Pulitzer. Yeah, it's interesting that you brought those guys up because to me, that's when you have like the 2 giant media conglomerates that are rivals against each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're just pulling out all the stops to increase circulation because they need to crush the other guy. It's like a zero-sum game where it's like one audience is they're going to read the news, or you're going to read it from us, or you're going to read it from them. Well, if you're reading from them, how do we take that audience away? Well, there's some very easy things that we can do. First of all, we can use fear, and fear is the thing. I think fear is the second best driver in terms of how people make financial decisions, whether it be like what to buy or like lifetime decisions. I would say fear is number 2. The only one that's a stronger key, I think, would be pain. If they're actually like, I'll put it to you this way. If I look at you, Big T, and I say, I'm going to fucking hit you with this hammer, and there's a hammer stand right next to you, and the hammer costs $2, you're probably going to immediately buy that hammer, right?
Are you saying that's pain or fear?
Fear. I'm saying like
Sure.
I'm about to hit you with this hammer.
Fear of pain.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But it's fear.
Okay.
You're probably going to buy that hammer. Now,
The
if
pain
I
is non-existent.
if I then hit you in the head with the
sure.
hammer and you're bleeding out your mouth and your teeth are all strewn about, and then Madeline's like, turns out that I have a degree in I'm a dental hygienist, and I'll charge you $500 right now to replace your teeth. You're going to give her $500 right now to replace your teeth, right?
Sure.
Fix the immediate pain. So if you're in fear of something, okay, I'll put it this way. If I were to be like, hey, Big T, one of these days, you never know, somebody might hit you in the head with a hammer. Would you buy a hammer immediately for that?
Maybe a helmet, but sure.
Yeah, but maybe you wouldn't feel like you had to buy a hammer to protect yourself if you're like, hey, maybe someday it'll happen.
Right.
But if I've got one right there, the more fear that I make you feel, the more likely you are to make a purchase that you might not otherwise make.
Yes.
Unless you're like looking forward and you're like, oh, I'm going to be, doing real estate speculation or whatever. Most people spend their money when they have to, whether it be for fear or for pain. And I feel like that's what a lot of journalism comes down to. It's like people will buy your product, people will pay attention to you if you can make them scared. And people learned that very early on when it came to like publishing. It's like if you can keep people in fear, you will make a pretty penny.
They were
You know,
This
really
is-
good at that. Oh, go ahead.
No, well, I was gonna yell about William Randolph Hearst again, as I've been one to do. He learned these yellow journalism tactics, and that's still why marijuana is illegal to this day. That's still why there have been millions of black people, brown people who've been incarcerated over the last century because of yellow journalism, because he saw what sensationalizing things that don't even necessarily exist can do to drive fear throughout people and get laws changed. Just as simple as that. So it's always been fuck William Randolph Hearst. I should have realized he was tied to yellow journalism, like the beginnings of it. I didn't until I was looking it up earlier today, and it just infuriated me even more.
You're absolutely correct, brother. 100%.
And back then these papers only they both cost about 2 pennies at one point, but then Hearst cut his costs and made his paper 1 penny. So just to be the most easy access for readers, and I think the New York Times was about 15 cents at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Pulitzer's a real fucking idiot if he didn't also think to drop it down to a penny. You can't get lower than a penny. It's like at some point somebody was going to do it and price the other guy out.
They do have free paper. Like they have free papers still to this day. He could have, if he was a real man, Pulitzer, whatever. He could have dropped the free the Boston Phoenix of its time.
Yeah, I mean, so actually, fun fact, that cartoon Hogan's Alley, where they get the name the Yellow Kid, Yellow Journalism, the FBI has a fake street called Hogan's Alley where they train their operatives. So this place is like, they'll do like fake bank robberies, fake holdups as training for their officers, and like they're just like role playing GTA all day at this this random location called Hogan's Alley. So maybe, you know, maybe they're just hiding in a plain sight by totally referencing the origin of yellow journalism in the FBI headquarters.
I like it.
But yeah, so basically, everyone hears about yellow journalism when it comes to the topic of the Spanish-American War, and you know, this is like a huge AP topic that they put in like in the past 20 years. At least I learned about it when I took APUSH. But so like the peak of yellow journalism came when the drumming up before the war actually happens. There's a situation in Cuba where you had American tourists in Cuba. You had Cuban nationalist guerrilla groups fighting fighting against the Spanish who were stationed in Cuba. There was a lot of outcry saying that, one, the Spanish were being extremely hard on American tourists because they thought that the American tourists were sending messages to the nationalist rebels in Cuba. There may have been evidence that the U.S. were giving aid to the Cuban guerrillas in order to get this European power out of the Western Hemisphere and their sphere of influence. So there was basically this sort of semi-Cold War with U.S.-backed rebels and Spain. So what then happened was, as soon as everyone thought that, you know, Spain and the U.S. were getting along better, you know, there was a USS Maine as a show of power, which was this big warship stationed in Havana Harbor. You know, there was a Spanish warship coming to New York City, all as signs of like goodwill and like making, you know, breaking bread.
Is that a sign of goodwill? Like, just we're each going to send our biggest battleships to your main harbors?
Yeah, but it was described as there was like committees to like talk amongst generals about and share information.
Here, as a sign of goodwill, here's this giant horse I wanted to give you. I know you love horses. Well, this one's pretty big. Here you go.
Anyway, for unbeknownst reasons, the USS Maine exploded. And this is where it sort of all went crazy. Now, there were stories going up to the war about basically American tourists getting strip searched at ports by Spanish individuals. Like
that still happens, by the way. My friend Taylor. They thought he had weed on him. He was getting back on a cruise ship.
They
Yeah, he had to lift his sack up and everything.
Jeez.
So I'm just saying, like, you know, to this very day, we're still embroiled in this turmoil.
Well, if your friend had been put as a picture, so like what Randolph Hearst was, he put a picture of a naked woman getting strip searched by the Spanish. Spaniards search women on American steamers, and it was a very reactionary image that was on the cover of their paper, sort of drumming up U.S., like getting Americans mad because they thought that like American women were being exploited by the Spanish.
That's an age-old tactic, by the way, is like show a group of foreigners or a group of people who are not the white race, and then put like a naked white woman that's in distress, and then everyone's like, no, and you can basically get everybody. That's, again, taps into people's fear.
Yeah,
and it's like, how dare they do
this? I was going to say that before you started. After you said that, PFT, it's like I would argue there may be a handful of wars the U.S. has been in that there hasn't been some kind of propaganda propagated by the U.S. government in order to okay its the zeitgeist, the social currency of the current day, to say, yeah, let's do this, let's go to war. Mm-hmm. I mean, the most recent shit, we just got out of Iraq, right? Or we're still there, but we're still trying to get out of Iraq, and that was all propaganda.
Yeah,
you know, facilitated by George Bush and his administration. It's literally the playbook of imperialist America, colonialism. That's what they do. It's what we do.
We also just got out of, I think, officially Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
After,
okay, that's what it is.
After
Afghanistan.
18 years, and then
Yeah, Afghanistan. My bad.
Iraq, we're always doing this thing where it's like we're getting out, and then we're like, you know what, we kind of like it here.
Right.
It's got its moments. You like it once you try, and then we send like people back for a couple more years. It's like a never-ending cycle, because then you can debate who's being soft on terrorism, and then you can debate, okay, who cares about the troops more, and then it's just always going back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue you can't have mass-scale wars without this propaganda.
Have you ever heard of I forget which economist put forth this theory? Maybe it was Friedman or something. I probably just said Friedman because I think he's the only economist that I know off the top of my head. But it's called the McDonald's theory, where no two countries with McDonald's have ever fought a war against each other. I don't know if it's still true. It might not be true anymore.
Can't be.
It was true at least 15 years ago. And it doesn't mean it's my professor was trying to teach it to me like in the context if it means more about just like developing countries that have economies, they're so intertwined by the money that's spent that they act more rationally, where they won't go to war over like, you know, some emotional type shit with somebody else, because they know that they have like their own economies to look after. And to me, I was always just like, no, it just makes everybody fat, and so we don't want to fight. We have fries that we can just walk to and pay 99 cents and get a full thing. Why am I going to go to war? Fuck that.
Yeah.
Germany definitely has McDonald's.
I don't think that they did.
Oh, so it's like at the time of the war?
Yeah, if they have a McDonald's.
I think Ukraine and Russia might have broke that in Crimea.
Yeah. Well, did they go to war, or was that just Russia being like, Russia just wanted all their McDonald's?
Or maybe Georgia.
Or is it McDonald's eye? McDonald's eyes.
They probably had some of those like weird menu shit that like if you go over to England, you see what they have at their McDonald's. Putin was like, wow, they've got bear burgers over there.
Does Georgia, the country, have McDonald's? They might, because I think that was the actual war.
Who doesn't have a McDonald's in this day and age?
North Korea.
That's what we should do. We should build one in North Korea, and then we'll never have to go to war.
Disarm them, yeah.
Did we just solve world peace on this podcast?
Yes.
Well, McDonald's is the key to world peace.
Well, you got to think about it. The way to get McDonald's in those countries is like, opening to all sorts of. I mean, think about it. Anyway, I think there's one. Yeah. Anyway, so then. Back to the U.S.
First thing we have to build on Mars is a McDonald's, just to make sure we don't fuck that up immediately.
Oh wow, looks like I was right. It was Friedman. How about that? Your boy knows his economists.
He's like the famous, most famous economist.
Yeah, Thomas Friedman. It's called the Golden Arches Theory of Conflict Prevention. No two countries with McDonald's franchises have ever gone to war with each other. People in McDonald's countries, he said, don't like to fight wars. They like to wait in line for burgers. And countries with middle classes large enough to sustain a McDonald's have reached a level of prosperity and global integration that makes warmongering risky and unpalatable to its people. So there are some, you can look through history and be like, okay, some of the former Yugoslavian states, I guess, had McDonald's in them technically, and they were in conflicts with each other. But you know what? I'm just going to pretend like it's still true, because it just sounds cool.
You're not a Keynes guy?
Raising Cane's?
John Maynard Keynes, he's an economist.
Oh, no. I thought you were going to say Raising Cane's. I was going to say, like, if you have Raising Cane's in various countries, it makes you more,
this is
more likely to go to war.
This is Big T.
K-E-Y-N-E-S.
This is Big T's worst take, by the way. He thinks that Zaxby's is better than Raising
Oh,
Cane's.
I went and... I think Zaxby's is better than everything. I went back to Nashville over July 4th, and I tried Zaxby's chicken sandwich, and y'all know I'm the biggest Chick-fil-A guy that there is. Zaxby's chicken sandwich was better.
I'm with you with the Zaxby's better than Raising Cane's. I fight with people in Texas all the time about that.
The chicken isn't even comparable. It's just the
It's
sauce.
not even the same.
It's like different. Like Zaxby's is like Boston Market at its A game. Like it's more like sit down dinner in my eyes. Cane's is more fast food.
Yes.
I don't think they're comparable, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see.
No, they are.
But I mean, same menu.
Oh.
Zaxby's is a rip-off.
Cane's only has one thing.
No, it's not, bro. It's exactly
so
the
does
opposite.
Zaxby's.
No, that's not true. You can get more than one. Like, you can get different types of. Can't you get like a whole bird at Zaxby's?
No, Zaxby's is
Oh,
like
I'm just wrong then.
chicken
I'm
fingers
just
and
wrong
chicken
then.
sandwiches. They have like salads,
Okay.
I think. But
I'm wrong then.
Zaxby's is like when you ask for Raising Cane's and that's what your mom tells you have at home.
No, that's
No,
that's
it's
an emotional-
flipped.
You're
Garbage.
making an emotional decision.
Garbage. No, their sauce is garbage.
The sauce.
No,
is-
Zaxby's sauce is
That-
not garbage.
bro.
Raising
they
Cane
still-
sauce is 10 times better.
No, go to any store and see if they sell Raising Cane sauce. They don't sell it separately. They sell Zaxby's sauce separately.
Yeah, exactly why.
They sell
because it's
Zaxby's
better.
sauce?
No.
It's higher quality.
Zach's
Yeah, they
Chick-fil-A
sell
Zax
sauce
sauce.
pretty similar, and they sell it like a. But the sauce is the only thing that's like comparable. Like they're both really good. The
Raising
chicken,
Cane sauce is $1,000 Island dressing, dog.
the chicken Zaxby's blows them out of the water.
Not even
No
close.
way, dude. No
Yes.
way. It was like
Hey,
I went to
PFT.
Zaxby's last.
Mute Avery. This is blasphemy.
I went to Zaxby's in Florida and it was garbage. Literally garbage.
That's
Don't bring
Florida,
Florida
that's
into
Florida
this.
though. That's Florida though. That's Florida.
What's the
Okay.
difference? It
It's
should be good
Florida.
it should be good everywhere you go. Every time I've been to Raising Cane's, it's good.
You ever seen that meme where Bugs Bunny's
Yeah.
cutting off Florida?
I'm
The
just
reason why.
I'm just astounded by this conversation. I think I
the fact
finally,
that this all came
I-
from Keynesian economics.
I think I finally get the McDonald's theory now. It's because like we're sitting here like fucking pissed off at each other because you're giving too much respect to the Raising Cane sauce. And if you go into fucking Food Lion down the street, you're not going to see Raising Cane sauce, and you know that you can get the Zaxby's stuff for like $5.99, and they got the 20-ounce bottle too, not just the 16-ounce. And like we're having this conversation, you think you can go over to like. You think you walk into Afghanistan and anyone over there is like discussing this type of shit? No, they're talking about like the different countries that have financed their neighbors that bombed their grandchildren or grandparents, and like how
Drone strikes.
and like how we're going to who I can align myself with in my mountains so that my family will be protected for the next 10 years. And like if you care about dumb shit like this, that's the key to survival.
Agree? Well, it's a luxury.
Yes.
It's a privilege.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Do you ever order that burger with that egg on it or no?
No, it wasn't an option on Seamless.
That's bullshit.
I could try to call McDonald's and ask them. I don't think they're used to getting.
I can try an Uber Eats. They
Yeah,
have
can you try
customer-
Uber Eats?
They'll do
They
it.
still do. Does McDonald's take call-in orders?
Couldn't possibly.
No,
I don't think they ever once have in the history of McDonald's.
I don't even think they have a phone. That's why they have.
No,
what I'm saying.
no.
That's why they're doing so well. They don't have to pay that phone bill.
Madeline, just order a burger, and if it doesn't let you do it, it should be like a comment section at the
Listen-
bottom. Just write
listen.
"we want an egg" on it.
Here's,
A lot of
here's
the
all
time they disable that though. They disable
Yeah.
that comment section. Cause I be putting put extra cheese or something on it, and like people don't like that shit. I be telling them I'll pay for it, but you don't give me the option.
I don't care if they don't like meat.
all,
Okay.
all of these chicken places should just thank their lucky stars. McDonald's hasn't brought back the chicken selects in some time.
I was discussing this today. One of my favorite memories ever. My
Never
mom.
seen you more hype.
we were talking about Ebo, a guy that works here, was like, man, McDonald's just needs to quit dicking around, bring back the chicken selects. And I was like, one of my favorite memories as a kid, my mom worked in a hospital and she'd work like 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. So like my dad and I would go eat dinner with her, and there was a McDonald's there and they had chicken selects. I think it's one of my, if they brought them back, I'd never go anywhere else.
Yeah,
You can't
no,
order it with an egg on Uber Eats. They don't even let you like type anything in for special.
I think it's just so sweet that Big T's dad would take him to go visit his mom at the hospital, and she was probably so excited to see her son. You know, she's in the middle of a long shift, and then her son is just like heads down in a plated chicken slab. That was a favorite part of his. That's what you remember
It's a
about visiting your
food
mom.
associated with the positive memories of going to visit my mom at work.
Your mom's like, I had a really tough day. There were 3 patients that didn't make it. Big T's like, do you have the buffalo sauce? You didn't give me the fucking buffalo sauce, Dad.
Not much has changed in the 15 years since either.
Mrs. Big T, shout out. I didn't know that you were a first responder / lifesaver.
She's a nurse.
Superhero.
Superhero. Thank you. Superhero.
Yeah, she goes to work.
So
She does her job.
260.
She does her job. She's a triage nurse now.
Oh,
She-
yeah, that
Oh,
sounds
some
like a
white-
walk in
she
the
did.
park.
Yeah, she did. Well, she did work in the hospital. She was doing some.
I
of
want to
that stuff.
slap you on behalf of your mom right now. You hear how he's talking about his own mom?
Keeping her humble.
She goes
Yeah.
to work.
Right. She goes to work.
Yeah, she. Yeah.
Someone Someone tweeted me today, like asking me what bowl I was smoking out of for my last dozen appearance, and then I told them, and then they were like, "How does one get a job where they just sit on a trivia show and smoke weed?" And Big T's like, "Yeah, my mom, me and her do the same thing pretty much."
We just go to work.
Yeah. Okay. So listen. Your mom. Yeah. She just punches the clock. You know, anyone can do what she does.
She's great.
She's not capable of doing the things Big T does at work. Like, oh, here's your most recent blog. We don't talk enough about the NCAA 06 game mode where your girlfriend got hotter as you played better.
Number one blog on the site right now. Number one on the website. So you're welcome.
You could probably, your mom could never write a blog like that.
I don't think she could. She's not funny.
Well, 260 U.S. soldiers died on the USS Maine.
Oh.
Yo, we might need to do an episode on like a therapy session for Big T and why'd he bang on his mom so much. Man.
Well, in the context of this show, she came on and got a little too big for her britches, so she needs to be brought down a couple notches. But just in general, there's way more than that.
I also want to say I want to apologize to Mrs. She listens, right?
Do not apologize to her.
No, I want to apologize because I swore a lot on last week's episode.
And I told her, I was like, I cuss more than anybody you know. And she was like, oh, well, it was different when a girl did it. I was like, that's the most sexist thing I've ever heard in my life.
No, I said penis and dick a lot, and I wanted to apologize.
That's not swearing.
They said it was a mine.
Damn, hell, ass.
But Coley, you're a guy, so it's fine.
No, it was a Simpsons reference, but I appreciate you allowing me to swear.
It was also just mild generic profanity.
Yeah.
It's allowed on the TL.
It's allowed on this page.
Yeah. All right, sorry, Billy. So 260 souls were lost. How come that only happens at sea, by the way? You only hear about souls
Because they can't find the bodies.
when something happens at sea.
They can't find the bodies.
No, but they say, like, there were 260 souls aboard that ship.
Yeah.
They never say, like, there are 260 people. It's a big seafaring word. I don't know.
Angels.
They drowned.
Okay, so they drowned. Did that actually happen?
Did that get your attention?
Yeah, it did.
Well, that was Hearst's rhetoric. It's just like
Ah.
sensationalism.
So did that happen?
Yeah, but no one's really sure if it was the Spanish who put the mine there or if a boiler exploded, exploding all the munitions in the boat, or if an American entity gave the Cuban guerrillas water mines to blow up Spanish ships in Havana Harbor, and they just accidentally hit the U.S. ship.
So it was like the ammunition that we sold to them potentially they
Blew up.
used against us. It's like the Fast and the Furious thing that people talk about with Obama.
Yeah, exactly. So no one really knows what exactly happened. All that we know is that it was framed by these tabloids, these newspapers, as a Spanish attack on U.S. ships. Now, there's a famous quote that is claimed to be attributed to Randolph Hearst. You furnish the pictures and I'll furnish the war. So when contacting an illustrator down in Cuba, Randolph Hearst may have told him, like, the illustrator was like, there's no war here. We're not about to go to war. And he was like, I'll fabricate the war. You make the pictures. So, like, crazy. So that is the origin of yellow journalism as it stands in relation to the Spanish-American War.
So wait, who said I'll make the pictures?
Hearst.
Basically, the guy was like, yo, dude, there's no war here. Like, stop asking about war. Like, no one's about to go to war. And Hearst was like, bro, I'll make the war. You make the pictures. This is maybe urban legend.
No,
but
I like to imagine that conversation went exactly how you described it right there. That's better than drunk history. Bro history. Bro, there's no war here. And then the other guy said, what? Like, can you please
just make the pictures of the war, like, fabricate them. I'll make the fucking war.
Yeah, I'm your war dude. I'll put you in a war mode. Put the whole country into war mode.
We should just have, like, bro history of Billy just describing events in that, like, tonality.
Yeah.
I mean, that's this show.
It really is, in a nutshell.
Anyway, basically, Hearst and Pulitzer got everyone riled up with all their, like, wars happening. Women were getting stripped on the beaches, by Spanish people. Everyone was getting riled up, and because this was the growing immigrant population, which was all marketed to, much of these readers were the ones who ended up going to war and were the ones swayed by all of this sort of propaganda and yellow journalism, if you will. My grandmother's grandfather actually was living in New York City at the time and actually served in the Spanish-American War. Yeah.
So it was Hearst that was publishing fake articles about the plot to sink the ship, and then how did they decide who was gonna, why did they team up together if they were such bitter competitors? You know?
They didn't. They were competing by selling a war so people would buy papers.
But so it sounds like there was a wink and a nod, an agreement between the two of them to be like, hey, they both knew that this war shouldn't happen, or there wasn't enough stuff going on to push America into war, but they both kind of knew that if we go along with the narrative that there is, then we'll end up selling a lot of papers.
Now, this is where historians have sort of dismissed a lot of this, because they're these two were making money off of the situation in Cuba and propagandizing it, but the ones who made the decisions on the war did not read either of these 1-cent newspapers. They were all New York Times readers.
But the people who were getting really pissed off about the stuff,
yeah,
those are voters. Those
right.
are the constituents. That's the public.
Right.
They were getting their news from these two sources, and then they were getting angrier and angrier, and then that eventually flows to the people that are running for office.
Exactly. So, at the end of the day, we went to war with Spain and took all their colonies. It's pretty sick.
USA. What was Spain doing over here, anyways?
That's what the Monroe Doctrine.
Nice dude, brother.
Yeah.
Monroe Doctrine. That's basically anything in this hemisphere is ours.
Yeah, Monroe Doctrine's bro, that's your side, this is my side.
Yeah. Doctrine is a really polite way to say, that dude just said some shit that he's going to back up. If you say doctrine, it makes it sound really official. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, when you're issuing a doctrine, it was Monroe just putting his nuts on the table.
Exactly. Crazy stuff.
Big time fuck him up Socrates moment.
Yeah. All right, so that was the main. Do we remember the main?
We do. That was the first remember December 5th, remember the main was the first sort of, saying that really got everyone going.
What's on December 5th, Billy?
Billy? Wait, Billy's Googling.
When was the Alamo? How was that not the first remember?
December 7th, I mean.
Yeah, there you go,
so
kid.
Remember December 5th also. All Decembers matter.
I actually didn't know
2 days before the 7th.
when he said December 5th. I was 80% sure he was talking about Pearl Harbor, but I also thought there was a 20% chance he was talking about the 5th of November from V for Vendetta.
Right.
Also remember that. Remember the 5th of November.
Oh, November.
Yeah.
Gunpowder, treason, and plot.
Yeah, Guy Fawkes.
I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Great movie.
Okay, I got mixed up between remember the 5th of November and
Did you
December
though?
7th.
Because you
Yeah,
Googled...
it was numbers.
Okay.
He's remembering.
He did remember.
There's a lot.
something.
Listen, there's a lot to remember.
In early December, there's quite a few dates you have to remember.
When did we stop remembering the Maine as much? After we won the war, at that point, we're like, okay, those 260 souls would have been happy with the fact that we have Texas.
Yeah. Well,
They're adequately remembered at that point?
we had Texas already.
Oh, sorry. What did we get? What colonies did we get out of that?
We got the Philippines. We didn't get Cuba, but we got. Did we get Hawaii?
I don't know, but that's crazy.
We definitely got the Philippines.
That's crazy that we get the Philippines for fighting
Billy,
against
did you
Spain.
just ask if we
Yeah.
got Hawaii in the 1800s?
I think it was 1900s, right?
Hawaii wasn't a state.
1950?
Hawaii wasn't a
It
state when
wasn't a
Pearl Harbor
state.
happened, brother.
It wasn't a state, but we got the territory.
Right.
Oh,
We have
okay.
Guam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Not
okay,
everything we
that's
have is
true.
a state.
That's true. I was just
We
thinking.
got Guam. Anyway,
It is crazy that we could conceivably at some point have fought a war against Iceland And we're like, winner gets South Africa.
There's it's for some reason a big Hawaii episode. There's no reason that should be this country. I don't know what they should be, but like flying there, you're just in the middle of fucking. There's nothing. How anyone even stumbled upon Hawaii in the first place is nothing short of a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Polynesian movement throughout the Pacific is like fascinating to read about. They're like the most seafaring people ever. Like they might like have like predisposed like navigational skills.
Wait, are you saying that they might have like a sixth sense of how to get around?
No, I'm serious. They like
I know that
It's a culture that has been developed in sea.
right, but like
I think that's probably more likely than that they're like some superhuman half fish culture. But Billy's right.
That's yellow journalism.
It is. Billy's right in the fact that their techniques in that culture, the boats that they made out of like just trees that would grow on these small like islands with indigenous populations, it's crazy that they were able to navigate such huge swaths of water at any given time. But yeah, if you've ever been to Hawaii, it is in the middle of nowhere. And I get the sense that most people that live like Hawaiians don't really want the United States to own them anymore.
No.
At all.
People that are from there don't really. They're like, yo, stop visiting.
One thing that's really underrated is the native Hawaiian flag. I'm not talking about the state flag. Well, they might use it as state flag. I need to take a look at that. But the one that's like black, yellow, red, green, and it's got two like crossed, I think, oars on it. That's a sick flag. It's a great flag.
Oh yeah.
They fly that everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's a big time flag.
The Kanaka Maoli?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Oh, and we fucked it up.
I'm gonna look up at the Hawaiian.
Yeah, now it looks like
the
a
Hawaiian
British
state
flag.
flag. Yeah, we fucking gentrified the Hawaiian's flag, and now it's shit.
Wait, is it
That's
the
a
one that looks
shit
like the
flag.
British flag? In the
Yeah, that
back?
flag stinks.
The
That
flag
shit
that they have now sucks. The original
Damn,
flag is
man.
awesome.
No flavor. No flavor. That has no flavor. That shit is unseasoned chicken flag.
Coley, did you ever tier state flags?
I don't think I did flags. I may have done license plates. I don't think I did flags though.
I think I didn't tier it, but I did a top 10 state flag.
Do you remember
At
which
what point?
one? California?
I don't remember. I know that Colorado was up there. I like the bear on the Colorado flag.
Arizona's a good one.
I like the Virginia flag because the Virginia flag is an R-rated movie into itself. There's a naked chick. It's got tits, and then there's a dead dude on it.
The Ohio flag's the only one that's not square.
Yep. They love to
Oh
tell you
yeah,
that.
she's straight up killing this guy, huh?
Yeah. No,
It's a big time flag.
Sic Semper Tyrannis is on it. Isn't that what John Wilkes Booth yelled when he killed Abraham Lincoln?
It was after it was on the flag.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's a
Can't
big
change
enough.
it up. Yeah.
That's a big enough event to necessitate a change.
It's a symbol of peace traditionally.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Hindu. All right.
Massachusetts garbage state flag. Absolute terrible.
I've actually never seen it. Let me Google this.
I think
Yeah.
I put Texas in my top 5, but I did it as a troll and I used a picture of the Chilean flag, which looks very similar. And then everyone from Texas got mad at me. It was great. Let's see, what else did I have in there? I need to go back and take a look. Oh, Arizona's flag is sick.
Yep. Arizona's got to go. How do you feel about Maryland? I know it's very divisive.
I like the Maryland flag, but the people that are from Maryland, they make way too big a deal out of their state flag.
Yeah.
They really do. It's the only source of pride, really. It's like we've got that, and then we've got Atlanta.
Crab cakes.
We've got crab cakes in Atlantic City.
Yeah. We
Or
have.
Ocean City, sorry.
We have wedding crashers.
Yeah.
So wait, real quick. At the end of the Spanish-American War, Spain renounced all claim to Cuba, ceded Guam and Puerto Rico to the United States, and transferred sovereignty over the Philippines to the United States for $20 million.
All because of those lost souls.
Yep.
We beat him in a war and we had to pay him 20 mil.
To buy the Philippines.
I feel like that was bad negotiating on our behalf.
And then I think we just gave up the Philippines in the end.
What year was this? 1890 what?
It was kind of like, we'll pay you this small amount. Like we've earned when the Red Sox got Dice K, it's like we already paid the $50 million. but he's ours now.
Yeah, but then that would be like paying for him just to get him out of Japan, and then like we also signed him to pitch for the Mets. Like that's what it sounds like we did with the Philippines.
Yeah, you're right. It would be like immediately being like, yeah, you know what? I don't feel like it anymore.
This inflation calculator only goes back to 1913, but that was 550 million back then. So maybe like, I don't know, 700.
Yeah, a bad deal.
Yeah, in retrospect, it was. But you know what? For every one of those, you get an Alaska that we bought from Russia for like nothing. What did we pay for Alaska?
7.2.
$7 million for the entire state of Alaska.
Pretty good.
Incredible negotiation.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah. All right, sorry, Billy. Let's get back to the main.
No, I mean that's it.
Okay. You think there would be like 3 people passed away on a snowmobiling accident? They'd be like, we lost 3 souls. Like on a recreational activity. I don't know. I mean, somebody out there is probably smarter than I am. Get back to me on the whole souls at sea thing, because I still don't get it.
Souls in Lake Lanier.
Yeah. There.
Really souls in Lake
They
Lanier.
just recovered another body.
It was a
past week.
professional basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, who was it?
He wasn't professional in America. He was in like
Foreign player.
yeah.
Played overseas.
He was an
Played
American,
overseas.
but
he
yeah,
was American, but
playing
played overseas.
I think
He was only 20.
he drowned
Jesus.
in like April.
Yeah. and they just
Dorian
rec-
Pinson of Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah, he drowned, or went missing in April, and they just recovered his body this weekend.
Stay out of Lake Lanier, people.
Stay out of the
I saw a
water.
tweet. Did I send this tweet to you guys where it was like, people get drunk at a lake and drown and call it haunted?
Yeah. That's
It's
partially true.
But Lake Lanier actually is.
Like
Lake
Lake
Lanier's
Lanier is actually haunted, but
Yeah.
I wonder if let me know, DM me on the Instagram if there's like lakes by where you live that people call haunted, but it's just people get drunk.
There was another thing about the. There was a New York Post article that had a guy who got eaten in a shark attack. Came out last week.
Yeah.
The tweet was a picture of this poor dude, lying face down in the sand with one of his hands bitten off and then blood coming out of his leg, like a hunk missing out of his leg. And the headline was, man gets attacked and killed by shark after walking into the water when he was drunk to urinate. And it's like, I mean, is that a crime, peeing in the water when you're drunk? Because if so, does that make you liable to shark attacks? Because if so, I should be dead by now.
He was taking an aqua dump, and he had his pants down, and that's why it bit it.
He's aqua dumping?
Yeah, like basically he lost one of his cheeks.
Damn. Well, that was also from the New York Post, and that's a prime example of that's like fear-based media shit, which I predicted that a couple weeks ago. This might be a summer of the shark, because media is always looking to make us scared about something, and we haven't had like a pandemic of fear porn about shark attacks in a long time. So just stay woke on that. Sharks they're your friends.
Billy, you know who founded the New York Post? Did you do that in your research?
Who?
Alexander Hamilton.
Nice.
Yep. That was just a nice fun fact. There was nothing else on that.
That's a very fun fact. Arian, what do you want to go off on?
When I was looking at this, there isn't much in today's news cycle that you couldn't consider yellow journalism, right? Because journalism has kind of evolved into a clickbait cesspool, and it's interwoven with entertainment. And so now your income as a journalist or a reporter is directly correlated to how many people are viewing it. And so the sensationalism of your piece has to supersede the accuracy in it. And so like journalistic integrity is kind of gone by the wayside, and it's not really a thing anymore. And so I had the multiplicity of things to pick from. I think, Billy, you said earlier, like the height of it was like whenever it first started, or I think we're in the height of it right now, because the explode and the boom of the internet, where anybody can have a blog, anybody can have. So it's like how to source information is in critical thinking is really like the most important steps in these next couple generations, or else we're just gonna fucking kill ourselves off, and there's no coming back from it. So the one that I just picked to talk about, and I was going to brush over it. It's critical race theory because it's in the news, right? So critical race theory has been like sensationalized by like right wing people, and they're like, don't teach it in our schools. And like you ask 99.999% of them what it is, and they don't know what the fuck it is. And like so much so to where like Texas just today I think banned some historical civil rights monumental moments from being taught in the schools. So I think one was I think the Texas Senate voted to, right, but I don't think it's gone through yet. But Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, his letter from Birmingham jail, because they think it's a part of like critical race theory. But like, so like the basic understanding, and I'm not a critical race theorist, but I know a little bit about it. Like critical race, the basics of it is it just takes it's a legal analyzation of how race has been interwoven with our laws in our country, and it just basically explores critically how the institutions have been inundated with race issues, right? And so, and it's a subset of critical theory, which is it's another study, right? Which is which takes a look at how the institutions of something might be biased, but the individual might not be biased. So like you'll hear like Fox News people like they're teaching you the white people want them to hate themselves, and like it's stupid. They've never read anything on critical race theory. And but that kind of sensationalism can lead to like what we had today, like with the Texas Senate voting saying we're banning Martin Luther King speeches, which is what they like to refer to when they talk about Martin Luther King, knowing they haven't read any other things of Martin Luther King, which is a whole different conversation. But like it's sensationalizing our history in America of actually having progress made because we addressed wrongs, right? And so they're sensationalizing it so much to say like a speech from Martin Luther King is like critical race theory, and it's just not, and it's just stupid. And I don't see a remedy in anytime soon with yellow journalism in general, unless we address it with our youth and teach them how to critically think and teach them how to source information. Because right now, a blog on Facebook is just as pertinent to somebody as like a peer-reviewed study, and like there's just no remedy other than like critical thinking skills.
And stuff that gets shared is the stuff that scares people the most. Well, actually, Coley, this is actually something that you probably have a little bit of insight into, in terms of what you see on our blog, at least. It's probably quite a bit different from the internet as a whole, but what are like the three things that you would see and be like, yeah, this one's going to get shared?
Fights go crazy, like especially not like professional fights, but like I think the biggest blog this year was the Oklahoma football players getting their ass beat in the bathroom. That went crazy. I'm trying to think, like the biggest thing I wrote was the white woman heckling LeBron. Was that a Hawks game?
Yeah. It was in Atlanta.
Yeah, that went crazy. So that was like kind of what we were talking about earlier. White woman, black guy, LeBron. LeBron always draws eyeballs. I'm trying to think if there's like a third one. Like if I look at like the top 50 for a given week, like a lot of our smoke shows are still some of our most clicked on, which blows my mind. Like it's obviously a part of our business, so I don't bash it, but it's like you can see attractive women everywhere on the internet, and still there's some allure to us doing it that it's like, I don't know if it's like this faux sense of attainability people sell themselves on. I don't know what the secret sauce is to it, but that's still attractive women will always play.
But back to Arian's point, like it is crazy how there's no standard at all for truth in terms of how good something does and how many times it's shared on Facebook or on Twitter or wherever it might be. So it's like usually the most sensationalized stuff, at least when it comes to news articles, are the ones that get passed around. It seems to me that critical race theory, and I'm not an expert, there's like only a handful of people on Earth who are critical race theory experts, right? It's not a very common thing. I'm not an expert on it, but it seems like what's happened is that's become a catch-all phrase for anything that white people feel uncomfortable about discussing when it comes to racism. They just call it critical race theory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at if you look at like the curriculums that are mandated for K through 12 schools, critical race theory is not a part of it.
No.
Like they may pull like references from maybe an article or a book and use it to teach whatever their lesson plan is for like a historical moment that has happened with civil rights, but like critical race theory is not being taught in K through 12. Then that's the funny part, is like you're like having parent teacher board meetings, right, talking about critical race theory should not be taught in our schools, and none of them know what the fuck it is. And that shit, and that's the danger of yellow journalism, right? That has like real life, like, you know, this is like a joke, and you know, like we have a lot of fun on the show, but it's like the danger of it is like real shit, right? Because like I don't know, earmuffs, Big T, but like when you have like vaccine misinformation, right? You have like there's real life consequences. Yeah, my dog. When you have like your mother's a nurse, right? So like right, but like when you have misinformation that is propagated at a high rate, and so much so to where your gauge for truth is skewed because you don't know how to source information. Like that's when real life like implications happen, and that's the scary shit, and why I say like I don't see a remedy other than like you really caring about what you think about. Like that was always like I always tell people, it's like you have to give a fuck what you think about, because if you don't, anything is just as viable, or I mean anything is just as authentically sorted through, and it's not the case. And so like you have to care about the shit that you think about, or else you're susceptible to a lot of bullshit.
Everything I've heard and read about actual critical race theory is it's like a master's level course. Like it's not anything, like you were saying, it's not taught to children. Like there was no way for them to conceptualize it.
You can't. There's no way you can teach that to
right. And it's like PFT was saying, there's only a handful of theorists that specialize that's alive. But it's something we talked about earlier. Like it has this, like no one was talking about. I'm sure if you check Google Trends, critical race theory like would be flat as recently as like 6 months ago. Like no one was talking about it. And then like out of nowhere, it just became this big bad. It's always this faceless monster. It's always like it's what is it? What, Fahrenheit? I always fuck up the
Fahrenheit
numbers.
451.
451. That's like they reference the war at the beginning of the book, and then they don't reference it. Like they never actually show it. That's kind of what this is. It's this reference to this thing that doesn't actually exist, but you should be worried about it. I know someone just went viral because they like broke into a PTA meeting where they were debating critical race theory, and they just started saying all sorts of shit, and no one knew whether to like cheer or boo him because they actually didn't know what the fuck critical race theory was. So they were like, we can't tell if this guy's making fun of us or if he's on our side.
Yeah, that's 100% correct, man.
It's just it's become, I feel like, just a label for like I said earlier, it's a catch-all where if there's something being discussed about race that people are just saying like, don't teach kids anything that makes the United States seem like we should be in the position of apologizing for anything that we've done. And so anyone that kind of takes that frame of mind is just using critical race theory as like, that's the slogan of what we're going against. They're expanding the definition to include everything under that umbrella, which is a completely different story.
Yeah.
I just be hella confused, like with mainly white folks, but like right-leaning people in general who are like, take opposition to the fact that America was rooted in racism. Like I really have not heard a solid like reason as to why like they're so against that. Like I just don't understand that shit at all. Like literally, like I could name countless examples of how it was written legislatively in our laws against black folk. I just don't understand how like you can possibly concoct any other argument.
I think a lot of white people feel worse being called a racist than they do participating in racism. Does that make sense? Like it's like white people are terrified to be labeled. They're terrified we're terrified, I should say, of being labeled as a racist. It's like the worst thing that you could ever imagine. People get like very offended, defensive of themselves if they're ever labeled as that, because everyone thinks of themselves as being a good person, you know, like as being colorblind. Oh, I don't see color, that sort of thing. Like everyone tries.
Purple.
Yeah, purple. Once the word purple comes out, that's how you know you're cooking. Black, white, purple, blue.
Yeah.
They always skip over the Y word in that one, Billy. Just for your reference. But like,
Speaking of yellow people, head ass.
they're
No.
Well,
it's just something that like I'm saying this like I can admit, like I honestly think that everybody in this world is racist. Like we all are, but you work to get over what your biases are, and you learn about where racism is coming into your mind and where that's unfair, and you try to get over it. And I think we all have our prejudices that we grow up with.
Well,
and
see, prejudice and racism, there's a distinct difference between prejudice and racism. Prejudice, I agree, everybody's prejudiced, and I think a majority of prejudice is actually healthy, because it can actually bring honesty to a table, to where you can begin to discuss each other's differences in a very honest way, right? But racism is the superiority complex, right? And like even the term racism it's an umbrella term, and you have a spectrum of where and what people think and the definition is. But like this is just giving you my definition, where there's a superiority complex, but because somebody is this, that equals this. So you hear a lot of correlations to like when the whole Black Lives Matter movement was really popping, right? You hear a lot of correlations to the 1350 or something like that. Black folks are 13% of the population, but we commit 50% of the murders. So the inference there is that we're inherently more violent. Like that's the inference. That in itself is racism. Like you're saying, because you're black, you're more prone to be violent than anybody else, without taking into the variable of the socioeconomic situations where poverty and violence are very much correlated, right? So like, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in just that little statement, but I think it's important to just, there's a difference between racism and prejudice.
that's fair. I guess I meant I
agree with you though.
The prejudicial aspect. We all have it, and I think like white people, myself included, like I'm naturally going to be defensive if somebody calls me a racist, because no white person, or most of them, I don't want to say no because there are some white people certainly who are like, yeah, I'm a racist, what of it? But I think a lot of white people, they're taught from a very young age, like being a racist is the worst thing that you can possibly be. Like you might as well call somebody a murderer if you're calling them racist. Like it's impugning their entire character. So I think a lot of people get defensive when they hear that about themselves, and rather than genuinely self-reflect on what their beliefs are or what actions they've taken that might be interpreted as racist or might be racist, their first instinct is to fight back against that, and that other person must be wrong and they must be the bad guy if they're calling me black, or if a black person is calling me racist because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's a defense mechanism, I think, a lot of times, and when somebody who has power is accused of being racist, a lot of times the last thing that they'll want to do is appear weak and appear like they're changing something because somebody else called them a bad word. And so I think people in general just need to be able to be more self-reflective and have a little bit less pride in general, and be willing to concede that they're not always going to be 100% right, and we're not always going to be perfect angels about everything. We all have our flaws, but the more we examine them, the more we can get over them.
The irony is, and you're right, brother, but the irony is, like, that's exactly what critical race theory does. It examines how, like I said it previously, but examines how individuals may have biases, but it's more the institutions that carry the structural racism. So it's not even calling individuals racist. Of course, it acknowledges that there are racist human beings, but it more so examines how the institutions have a complicit bias towards a subset of people. And like that's the irony, is like they're so against critical race theory when it's actually absolving you of calling you a racist, but you're in turn saying the exact opposite of what it actually is.
Well, that's why schools are trying to combat it, because they're the institution.
Facts. That's facts.
But there was one thing, actually, Arian, you said, I think it was last year on Pardon My Take, during last July when everything was happening. And you hit on it, I think, perfectly. It was something I had never been able to figure out how to say, but it was guilt versus empathy. And it's a lot of white people are like, well, I didn't fucking enslave anybody. I'm 25 years old. And it's just like, well, yeah, you're not supposed to feel guilty about it. You're supposed to feel like empathetic towards it. Like, yeah, that was horrible. And it, like, that guilt, I think, gets a lot of people, it's like misinterpreting their own feelings. It halts them from actually stopping and thinking, well, like, yeah, no shit, I wasn't involved back then, but what am I doing today to try and take it one step for, like, advance past everything we got going on?
It's because of that is why, like, I lean like so progressive, right? And so it's like, I don't know, and not to totally, you know, take the conversation somewhere else, but like I don't know shit about trans folk and they struggle, right? I don't know enough about it, but what I do know is, like, they feel marginalized. I know what it feels to be marginalized, or feel like I'm being marginalized, right? And so all I do is listen to them. Like, I still don't know enough about it, but, like, I just listen to them, and their way, who they are doesn't offend me and it doesn't affect me. And so I'm more inclined to try to fight for folks that feel marginalized, right? And so, like, I don't know enough about it. Like, I will not get into a trans argument because I don't know enough about it. I don't know the data, I don't know the facts. I don't know. It's just not that interesting to me. But what I do know is, like, I took what I went through, right, as a kid a lot of times, and I just applied it to somebody who said that they go through something similar, right? And not to equate those two, I think they're very different. But that's, like what you said, it's this empathy. I'm not trans. I am what they call a cis male who just is attracted to women and nothing else. But I don't know what it's like to be gay. I don't know what it's like to want to, you know what I'm saying, to have somebody look at my sexual preference and be like, that's weird, right? I don't know what that's like, but I do know what it's like to be looked at and say that's weird. So, like, I just, like, that's to me the core of all of this really is empathy. Can you take yourself out of your shoes and apply that to somebody else who may be feeling the same way you did? I
agree with that. I think a lot of it boils down to, like, a lot of the world's issues, or a lot of the United States issues for that matter, could be impacted positively if people just thought about somebody else before they thought about themselves when it comes to, and I think most people, they try to do that, but they, like, in theory, but they fail in practice. So, like, what Coley brought up was a pretty good example of that. If somebody is, like, you know, you gave an example a second ago. I'm trying to remember about, like, I didn't do that. Like, that doesn't, like, I'm not responsible for that. That's a pretty clear example of, like, having that defense pop up first before thinking about somebody else. Like, the person wasn't saying that you were responsible for it. If somebody's like, hey, just ipso facto, black people couldn't vote until, 50 years ago in the South. And then you're like, well, that wasn't me. When a normal response would just be like, yeah, that sucks. Like, that's terrible that happened. Let's make sure that never happens again. No one's accusing you as a person of doing that or being responsible for it, but a lot of people react like they are being accused of it.
It's like main character. Everyone thinks they're the main character. So, like, well, I can't fix it. It's not my fault. It's like, no one said that. Like, we know.
Yeah, Quiggs would definitely feel like he was being accused of everything, because remember, Quiggs is the only person that exists on the planet.
Oh, the solipsist. He's a solipsist.
Yeah. But yes, that was critical race theory on macrodosing, and I think a lot of people are also, honestly, white people, I think by and large are just, they get tired of talking about race a lot because they feel like they do feel guilty sometimes, and when you see people like pressing back in like school PTAs and stuff, they're just saying, like, I don't want, like, I'm sick of feeling guilty. Like, that's the emotion that they might be trying to express. And honestly, like, we have a lot of fun on the show. We joke around, and that, like, conversation that we just had was really interesting. But it's like 10% of what we do on the show, and I think that people are just afraid that if you start talking about this stuff in a classroom environment, then the entire school, like, learning system is just going to be discussing race. And that's not right. I don't think that's anybody's goal. Nobody wants that. But white people are deathly afraid of having a learning environment where, like, everything is broken down about race, because there are so many white people that are just they're tired of talking about race. Not saying that they that they should be or that's a good thing. But I'm just like, that's what's going on, I think.
Nah, I agree, which is hilarious, and on a lot of fronts that they're tired of talking about race with niggas that do this and everything, but it is what it is.
Yeah, listen, I don't think, and I don't want to speak for anyone, but I think black people would love to stop talking about race.
100%. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm so sick of it. Yeah, I feel you, fam.
All right, Big T.
All right,
Quiet
Benjamin
as fuck,
Franklin.
Big T.
Yeah.
I had Benjamin Franklin. So this guy,
Created all the institutions.
yeah, we probably should have gone in chronological order. So Franklin.
That was funny. That was funny.
So Billy was talking about. Yeah, do we even still need to do this?
Why?
So Billy was talking about yellow journalism originating in the 1800s, which the definition did. But Ben Franklin was doing some yellowish journalism stuff back 150 years before that. So he always loved writing. When he was a kid, his brother had a newspaper, and the famous Silence Do Good letters he wrote under a pseudonym because his brother wouldn't let him publish anything in his newspaper when he was like 15. So he wrote under a pseudonym, and those got published. So he always loved writing. And then in, I believe it was 1782, so like...
Wait, his pen name was Silence Dogood?
He wrote letters...
Someone's never seen National Treasure.
Yeah, have you not?
I saw the first one.
And it
Is that in the second one?
No, I think it's the first one.
It is the first one.
That's the first one.
He was wait.
Because he goes to his
No,
dad's
no.
house. Yeah. Because he goes to
No,
his
no,
dad's house in Virginia to get the letters, and then he goes to Philly from there. That is the first one.
Okay,
Wait,
yeah.
hold on. When
It
was
might be
Bloody-
two.
We're going to get back to macrodosing in a second. Before we do, Upstart. If you're carrying a credit balance month after month, it can feel like you're in a never-ending cycle of debt. Well, Upstart can help you make that final payment so that you can get ahead. If you dread looking at your credit card statements, you're not alone. Debt can feel crippling, but Upstart can help you on your path to financial freedom. So many Americans experienced financial hardship in the last year. Upstart can help you regain your footing and get things back on track. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Upstart knows that you're more than just your credit score, and Upstart is expanding access to affordable credit. Unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income and your current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate up front for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. You can receive funds as fast as one business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/macro. That's upstart.com/macro. Don't forget to use this URL. Let them know that we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/macro.
Yeah, it's Buddy he had it in his jacket, and then they go to the caves and yeah.
I think it might be
It's
two.
big
Anyway,
Let me see.
yeah, so
I could
Ben
be
Franklin
wrong.
wrote under a
think
pseudonym
so.
to his brother's newspaper, like these letters. He was supposed to be a widow of whatever. So that's how he got his stuff published as a kid when his brother wouldn't let him. So then in 1782, at the end of the American Revolution, he is in Paris as the ambassador to France. And he's trying to come up with a way to get the British public to sympathize with the Americans, and moreover get the British government to give some sort of like reparations to U.S. citizens after the war. So he he created a fake newspaper, pretty much completely fake. Well, he did it as a real newspaper. There was a paper called the Boston Independent Chronicle. He wrote something that he claimed was the supplement to the Boston Independent Chronicle. And he wrote these letters. One was talking about how, so one was supposed to be someone in the military who came across some Native Americans who had scalped American citizens. And he was talking about it. And he said, discovered more than 700, quote, scalps from our unhappy country folks. That was the thing about that. There were bags of boys, girls, and soldiers, and even infant scalps, all allegedly taken by Indians in league with King George. And that was the other thing, is that the king told them to do it. This was supposed to arouse some feelings against him in England. And then there was another letter that was supposed to be from John Paul Jones.
Wait, so he was saying that there were Native Americans that were teamed up with, that were like
Correct.
big King George stands.
Yeah.
That were killing people in the United States.
Yes. Yeah.
I got to take my hat off to the creativity. That's pretty brilliant.
And then there was another letter that was supposed to be from John Paul Jones. That one didn't really do anything from what I understand. Nobody really cared about that. It was the other one that really did it in England. And so he got it published in newspapers both in the United States and in Great Britain. He put ads in it and stuff to make it look like it was really supposed to be in the Independent Chronicle. And
would you say that John Paul Jones, the name, is maybe the most successful 3-word name of all time when it comes to, like, you have two very famous people? It was was it the bass player from Led Zeppelin and this famous naval captain both had the same name?
Do hyphenated names count?
Give me an example.
Kareem
Abdul-Jabbar.
Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah, is there another Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Like he's saying, like there's multiple people named.
I'm
John
saying
Paul
like
Jones.
two
It
separate.
has to be
famous
3
people.
names?
Has to be 3 names.
Oh,
yeah.
wait, I thought...
First, middle, and last.
The
name.
way you said successful, I thought you meant... Okay, you're saying
the name
most
itself.
used.
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
the name itself, John Paul Jones. Is there another name out there that has first name, middle name, and last name that both have two like worldly famous people?
There was
that
also
share
a guy on The
same name?
Bachelorette named John Paul
Oh,
Jones.
I see.
Yeah, I forgot about him too. John
Fan
Paul
favorite.
Jones from
Yeah,
The Bachelorette.
I thought when
Yeah.
you said successful, I thought
Definitely
you
up
meant
there.
like a person with 3 names who was the most successful.
I do like that your brain went immediately to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as being like the most successful person ever.
Well, with 3 names.
Well, we all have 3 names. What's your middle name?
Hudson.
Hudson.
It's my great-grandfather's
Hmm.
name.
I like that.
All right, that's nice. So I'm going to take that as a yes. John Paul Jones, best.
Most beautiful grave I've ever seen
Oh,
in my life.
what
John Paul
about
Jones.
the Cromartie family? Or Rogers Cromartie. I guess that's only one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that's...
Sorry.
No, all right, back to you, Big T. Sorry for taking us off track.
No, so that was pretty much it. That was his Franklin's biggest foray into fake news, I guess, was the supplement to the Boston Independent Chronicle. But yeah, he just totally made it up.
So the supplement was just like an insert that he wrote on his own,
Right.
and then would like put into the newspapers.
So no, he sent it to other newspapers in like New York and Rhode Island and stuff, in addition to Great Britain, and was like, hey, this also goes with the Boston Independent Chronicle. And they were like, yeah, looks good.
I mean, that's kind of genius, isn't it?
Yeah.
So was he already super wealthy at this point?
I would assume so, because this was like right at the end of the revolution, he was the ambassador to France. So yeah, I would assume.
I also think that running a propaganda outlet would be enormously exciting. It would be so fun to like be in his office, and he's got like these walls of different things that he wants to write about and just completely make up. Like, okay, so I'm going to run the stories about the Iroquois chief that has like a custom-made red jacket with King George. Like, he's got a King George jersey that's hung up on his wall, and he absolutely hates the United States. Like, I have to imagine that would actually be kind of fun, coming up with those stories and then like mailing them all out and just watching your propaganda go crazy viral all across the world. Essentially, it's something you made up out of nowhere, and now everybody believes.
Yeah, he went pretty viral.
You know who we should have had on the show? Whose buddy we had on for Aliens? The nigga
Harvey
that owned
Levin?
TMZ. That fucking guy is yellow journalism king.
Mm-hmm.
Big cap, whole site, big cap. But then they also break some real shit every now.
I'm saying I'm conflicted. He might be the only one telling it straight now.
Now,
Right.
nah, fuck that dude.
Did you guys?
I mean,
We never
No,
went
I-
back to that, by the way.
You're right. You're right. We didn't. We
At the
didn't.
beginning, we were like, hey, Arian's got some things to say. We're going to get to it at the end, and then we just never did.
Yeah, I didn't want to get on his bumper at the first part of the episode because then it'd be awkward. I didn't want to be like, "Hey, man, fuck you, dog." I didn't want to start with that, but yeah. Oh, Big T, you said this, and I mean, if there's any other nerds out there, they'll appreciate this fact. You said Buddy had the most beautiful grave.
John Paul Jones, yeah, it's at the Naval Academy.
All right, so like I would challenge that, but he might, right? But this,
I don't,
this
just
is-
that I've seen.
Right. So the dopest grave I've seen. Everybody should give your favorite grave sites. The dopest grave I've seen, besides the Great Pyramid, right? It's by Ludwig Boltzmann. He was a physicist that had the equation for entropy. he has a dope ass grave, and it's a fucking thing of him, and then it has his equation, his famous equation, on the backdrop, which is fucking a flex in the afterlife, dog.
That
Pretty
is pretty
strong.
cool.
Shit fire. Ludwig Boltzmann. Check it out.
Babe Ruth has a sick grave.
I haven't seen it.
Where's his?
It's like a little farther right outside the city.
I mean, what's it all about? Why is it so sick?
Oh, it's just
Ooh.
like a picture.
Big T's is strong.
Babe
Yeah, it's awesome.
Babe Ruth, he was an orphan, so sort of his grave sort of like him with another orphan, and like there's a baseball, like there's a baseball bat and ball there that like no one touches. It's like really cool.
That's kind of cool. I'm surprised that nobody actually touches it though.
Just don't fuck with Babe Ruth.
Jim Morrison's grave is pretty
Meh.
cool.
Who?
Jim Morrison, singer of the Doors. He's buried in
Yeah.
Paris. I remember hearing a story about Jim Irsay going to visit Jim Morrison's grave one time, and he just like stood in front of it and started crying and singing songs. I'm like, yep, that's Jim Irsay for you.
Sounds right.
So yeah, I mean, Ben Franklin's always been kind of a crazy character to me because he's the hairstyle alone that he rocked throughout his entire life. The half bald skullet, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
And he was, I'm going to guess people were shorter back then, so he's probably like 5'2", 300 pounds, but he fucked.
Big time.
Yeah, he was a chunky fella.
Yeah, he was a guy. You know why I spent so much time in Paris?
It says he was 5'9".
Yeah, but in today's day, like there's a conversion rate you have to put into there.
Well, wouldn't that make him taller now?
I think
'Cause
he's
people
5'9"
were shorter
now.
back then.
I think he's 5'9" now,
Okay.
and probably like 5.
George Washington, 6'2".
Yeah, big dude. That was like a giant back then.
Lincoln, 6'4".
I think Ben Franklin just went to Paris one time and saw prostitution and was like, "This is my favorite country
gonna
in the
stay
world."
here.
Yeah, I'm now I'm a big fan of French art.
Oh, you know what else he lied about, Ben Franklin? French fries.
Did he lie about fries?
Yeah, he pretended that French fries came from France, and he like brought them over.
He claims fries?
Yeah. Franklin, the first
I've
United
never-
States envoy.
That feels like big Bobby Valentine energy.
Well, Bobby Valentine actually did invent the rap.
There's not. I mean, burritos have existed well beyond the lifespan of Bobby Valentine.
It was a sandwich, though. He took a sandwich and turned it into a rap. You don't understand.
Franklin, the first United States envoy to France in the 1770s, discovered pommes frites at a dinner hosted by French pharmacists who made a habit of serving potatoes up to 20 different ways. When Thomas Jefferson succeeded Franklin, he also experienced fried potatoes in the French manner. So Franklin and Jefferson claim discovering French fries?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the cat button on that one too. Man.
Jefferson
I don't
claims it
know,
too?
man.
Apparently.
Well, you know, Jefferson couldn't like let somebody else claim to invent something back then. He claimed
Listen,
he invented everything.
This is the CRT people are worried about. We're tearing down these historical figures and their claims. I for one, am appalled.
No, man, I'm long on the record that Thomas Jefferson is a fucking liar about almost everything that he did. He claimed he invented so many things, and guess what? When you're one of the most famous people, one of the only famous people in the entire country back then, you can just take anybody else's idea and you can publish it and be like, I thought of this. Thomas Jefferson was a big fucking liar. I'm on record, but I want everybody to know. I'm not. I see through your bullshit, TJ. Another great grave, Karl Marx. Regardless of how you feel about his politics, look at his grave. That's pretty badass, isn't it?
Oh, that is an interesting one.
It's a giant.
He's got his Canton bust on his grave.
Yes, he does. He's got. It's a giant tombstone. And then a huge ass head of Karl Marx with his beard. It looks like God's grave. Like he
That's
was
fire.
like, make me look as much like
He-
big bearded guy in the sky as possible.
That's
It
fire. I wonder
looks
how much
like
he had to
it-
do with it. It's fire.
It's like a transformer, like a kid got halfway through transforming and then just couldn't figure out the rest. Like that thing sprouting legs and just like marching around wouldn't shock me.
He forms a zombies union. All right, is that it for you, Big T?
Yeah.
I got a very recent one that's actually, connects back to our whole Facebook digital targeting of information. So back in Myanmar, basically they had a genocide that was caused by mass, basically a bunch of Myanmar military officials and soldiers were just pretending to be news outlets on Facebook and targeted ads and just pumping out like content about like certain groups of people in Myanmar negative and literally caused a genocide.
Are we gonna
see,
correct them on that country or no?
No.
Okay.
Myanmar?
Myanmar.
Big T's technically right.
I was gonna say I don't know who's right. To be fair.
Yeah, I
Also-
don't know, but I know the story. The more interesting part of it, this is another structural issue, is that they didn't have internet, right? They thought internet was Facebook. So open up Facebook as like an app or it's like a site, right?
Yeah.
All they had was Facebook. There was nothing else. There was just Facebook, and so they thought that's what the internet was, and so like they were unable to source any kind of accurate information. They thought this is what I'm reading. This has to be true, and so that was like a really intricate part of that story. It was like there was no internet to fact check.
And I
It was
believe
just Facebook.
Facebook like paid that any phone or computer you got in that country the only thing that was on it was Facebook. So literally everyone in the country used it and like exclusively. And that's
It was just Facebook.
yeah.
And the algorithms worked, and they were just posting underneath. Like there was like a military sniper who was like a huge like a content creator of sniper content and like military content, and like everyone like worshipped him in the country, and like pop stars and stuff. So it was just a very nasty situation that just did not end well.
It's actually similar to back in the mid '90s, the genocide in Rwanda. That was perpetrated. It was kind of the exact same situation, except more militaristic. People took over their big radio station there. So really, the only radio that they had in town, it was called Radio Television Libre de Mille Collines, and it was run by the Hutus, and then they would just spread propaganda against the Tutsis. And then I forget how many hundreds of thousands of people, Tutsis, were killed because of the propaganda that was being spouted out. Like, I think the guy ended up being tried, or he escaped to France for a while, the guy that ran the thing. I don't know exactly what happened to him. But it was called the soundtrack for a genocide, because they would just basically spread whatever news the government wanted them to spread about the marginalized people. And then there would be just riots in the streets with machetes, and all the Tutsis were slaughtered for like 6 years there.
Well, that's why I said at the beginning, I would argue, like, in order to carry out any kind of genocide or mass war or anything like that, this is actually yellow journalism, just the spread of misinformation is actually a necessity, because it's not the people that are starting the wars, right, that are on the front lines. It's the people that you have to get people to believe in the cause that they're fighting for is not only worthy, but if I don't do it, they're gonna ruin my way of life. And so that's literally shit. Nazi Germany, same thing. Propaganda, fueled by Hitler, fueled by that's what it's necessary for any kind of evil to be done on a mass scale.
I think that if we vote to go to war, the people who vote for us to go to war should have to serve in the war.
Yeah, y'all front lines. Then we'll see how quick you pull that trigger.
Oh yeah, universal service.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good thing to do. It's kind of along the same lines of the theory that the president, when he becomes president, should pick somebody to be like one of his closest advisors that has the key to the nuclear weapons, or at least the code, implanted in his heart or next to his heart. So in order to get the code out, the president has to kill like one person with his bare hands or her bare hands to get that code out, because you are about to kill like hundreds of thousands of people. So what's one more? It should really make a difference if you know that it has to be done. Like, get your hands dirty too.
There's one problem with that.
What's that?
What if someone fires a nuke?
Just one?
What if someone fires a nuke at us?
What's that?
If someone fires a nuke at us,
Yeah.
then that one person is going to go down as a hero, being like, "Yeah, open me up, get my code."
Sacrificial lamb.
But every second is like
How long does it take you to cut into my body? Probably you could probably Billy. I know you. You would go rummaging through my chest cavity like it was the giant nose in Double Dare, and you're trying to get the flag.
You think Joe Biden could do that?
No, but Major Biden's dog could.
Oh yeah.
That dog would have that code out. If you rub it in like peanut butter before you install it in the guy's heart. Major's
Arian would write it on a dog's heart.
Yeah.
That would be fire. That'd be a good one actually.
We're just talking about like I don't know if universal service is the answer. As a Quaker, I probably shouldn't believe in that. But like, if you do vote for the war, as I'm a politician, I'm saying, if a politician is voting to send people to war, you should also go to war.
Einstein said what is it? I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like if the world is gonna be warless, it has to come from like the generation of children that refuse to go to war. Or not, it's like a peaceful world that comes from like a generation of children that refuse to go to war. Like that's. But he also fucked his cousin. But I agree with what he said.
You don't have to agree with people across the board.
Yeah, we all have our flaws.
We all have our hiccups.
Listen, as far as the grand scheme of things go, it's probably it's only like a 4 out of 10 on the problematic scale.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's first. I think it was his first cousin actually.
Does it matter like how attractive his cousin was?
It matters, and she wasn't even bad, dog.
Okay.
Wasn't even bad.
Wait. This might be one of these language barrier things that we have to get across here. And when you say she wasn't even bad, do you mean bad like good?
Yeah, she wasn't. She was not sexy.
Okay. Damn. All right. See.
Well, to me, I'm pretty sure she might fancy one of y'all's eyes, but like when I don't think so. Actually, I'll go on one record. If you Google Einstein's cousin wife, that you probably won't find her too attractive.
Let's see. I'm looking her up right
because
now.
his first wife was way better, right? And she was also a physicist. I think he just got tired of her shit. There's some people say that he stole some of her work. I don't know who's to say, but I think like you see the cousin wife.
Yeah, the cousin wife looks exactly like Einstein.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, bro. Well, she's his cousin.
That's John Feidelberg.
Yeah, but what does that mouth do though? We don't know.
What that mouth did. And
I want on a quote card that just says Einstein couldn't pull bad bitches by Arian Foster.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he could have because he was in America and one of his best friends was who the nigga was famous for the Panama and stuff Charlie Chaplin. One of his best friends was Charlie Chaplin, and I know that nigga was fucking lots of bad bitches. And that was one of his best friends. And, you know, I would venture to say Einstein had some bad bitches, but he was walking around with the with the jump from Matilda.
Oh, man. Einstein really had a good marketing team, though. Like, he got that. They just called him by his last name. He only had the one. The mustache was iconic. Still to this day, if somebody's smart, you're like, that guy's an Einstein. Yeah. Like there haven't been any smart people since Albert Einstein?
Man. I'm unsure if you know exactly what he's done, but it's like if he would have done one of the things that he did, he'd have been hella famous, right? But he did like 4 or 5 or 6 like things that are fucking astronomically science-changing things. Like he's the reason why we know why the sky is blue. He figured that shit out.
I still don't know.
I like how PFT was just like, is Einstein the 85 Bears defense of smart people? Like, we've seen the Ravens, the Bucks, the Patriots. No, we still go back. That was very funny.
There's hella smart people, but he did so much, dog. Like, he discovered, I think he...
Could Einstein be smart in today's NBA? Yeah. That's what he's...
It's a different era. Like the way that we judge IQ, we've got probably questions that are worth different amounts of points, just like the NBA. I don't know.
Could he make it on the dozen? Could he? How many points would he get?
Also, I know you're not a Neil deGrasse Tyson guy, but it's like you have like super hella smart people like that, and they have to spend their time like debating flat earthers. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like we never saw that side of Einstein where he's like, yo, shut the fuck up with that shit. You know? Like he didn't have to combat flat earthers.
I never saw Einstein play. The other mathematicians he was competing against were like they were part-time plumbers and car salesmen back then.
There was actually a mathematician that helped him out with the geometry, and so he gets a lot of flack for his lack of math skills. But he was like fucking brilliant though.
Dude, those quotes where it's like Einstein failed like 5th grade math or whatever, it's just like on the same level as like MJ got cut from his varsity basketball team. Like they say that, like it's like I don't even think that's true.
He couldn't tie his shoes, is what I heard.
Well, no, that the MJ
he
quote.
He didn't talk for like I think he was like until he was like 3 or something, like 4 or something like that. Like he didn't. He was like kind of a mute.
The MJ thing, like, yeah, he didn't play varsity as a freshman. Like they act like he got cut from the freshman team as a freshman. Like, no.
Is that what it was? I never knew the origins of that story, dog.
Yeah, he didn't play varsity as a freshman. Like, boo fucking who, dude? Like, we get it. You take everything as a slight. He played freshman basketball that year, like a freshman should.
He's probably still motherfucking his high school coach right now.
Without question.
Yes. Didn't he say something about him in his induction speech?
Probably. I
MJ's,
mean,
his induction
anyone he
speech
ever met
was just him roasting everyone that's not Michael Jordan. It's like, how do you assholes look yourself in the mirror each day and not see a glowing pair of yellow eyes and a big hoop earring looking back at you and not kill yourselves? Thank you for this honor.
With 11s on.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you people make me sick.
All right, but shout out to Einstein. He did tell like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, hey, you might want to make a nuclear weapon. Otherwise, Hitler's going to bomb you. So shout out to Einstein. Stay off your cousins, though.
I mean, whatever you got to do, man. You know, I don't judge. I'm in a judge-free zone. Is it legal? It's not legal, is it? No. It's legal.
First cousin? Depends what state we're talking about.
Yeah.
Big T, do you know the laws about?
That's a Shelbyville.
We're saying pigeon forge.
I do not know. I know it's illegal in Tennessee.
Oh, you know. That's quick that you know that.
I'm just pretty... Well, because in the SEC... So listen, every SEC fan base always calls other ones like, oh, you fuck your cousin. Like Tennessee says about Alabama. Alabama says it about Arkansas. They all do it to each other. The only real... Arkansas probably actually does. The other ones, it's all ridiculous. But, yeah, so...
Is Alabama that ridiculous to assume?
Yeah, it doesn't feel that ridiculous for any of them from where I'm sitting.
No.
Tennessee, Georgia, Florida is dumb. South Carolina is dumb. Alabama gets closer, but Arkansas, Mississippi, you're in realistic territory.
Let's be honest. There are parts of every state in America where cousin fucking is happening.
For sure, but on
maybe
the whole,
not Rhode Island. I don't see like Rhode Island feels like it's just too small. You know, like you've got too many options too if you're in Rhode Island. You've got a lot of neighboring
Actually, I
states.
feel like because it is so small.
No,
but you got neighboring states that you can go in.
The thing is, that was happening at like the top, like it wasn't like in Rhode Island.
Yeah, somebody look up for me notable cases of Rhode Island incest. I feel like that's the least likely state by far, actually.
Billy seems like he's in the know here with some Rhode Island incest.
No, just like because think about it, like the same stuff as Einstein and Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Mm-hmm. They're all over in Newport.
Yeah,
I'm looking up percentage of incest per state.
I am as well. It looks like, so the only thing I can find is people searching for incest on the internet, and that's Arkansas, Kentucky, and West Virginia are your top 3. Alaska in there as well.
Of course, yeah. Alaska, it's just everyone getting away from something.
This has a whole state map. I'm showing it here. It has a whole state map, and if you just hover over a state, it tells you what the legality is of it. So, like, let's just see. Rhode Island.
Legal.
Wow, it's legal in Rhode Island.
Incest legality green check mark.
Wait,
it's only legal in Jersey and Rhode Island. Everywhere else, it's not.
See, we were right.
That's definitely grandfathered in from from the Roosevelt family.
Yeah,
they just know that if they like made it illegal in New Jersey, then like we have to tear down a lot of statues at this point. By the way, where do we stand on statues in general? I across the board just think statues are fucking weird. It's a weird thing to do.
I think people take them too seriously. Like when people are like, "Don't tear it down." It's like, do you go stare at it?
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody does take a statue seriously. I think it's just like a virtue signal kind of thing, and it's like nobody wakes up in the morning and be like, "I'm finna go visit the statue."
Right. So why can't you just take it down?
I think it was Big T that brought up, like, what about, like, a garden of statues of noteworthy people, like a hall of... Was that you or somebody else?
Yeah, I don't think I
Like,
said that.
that's more regular to me, I think, than just, like, putting up a
What do you
big-ass...
mean a guard like?
Like a Hall of Fame?
Yeah, like a Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I guess what I'm describing is exactly the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Okay, sure.
I'm saying I like the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But it's kind of weird if you were to just, like, have a statue of William the Refrigerator Perry out, like, just on the street in Springfield,
So, like
Illinois.
the Lincoln Memorial.
I mean, it's a cool design building. And, I mean, the giant thing of Abe on the chair looks cool, but, like, I don't know. I'm not a statue guy.
Okay.
I actually like the Lincoln Memorial way better than the Jefferson Memorial.
Oh, it's 1,000.
Another thing that Jefferson stole.
Honestly, when the robots take over and they're gonna cancel all of us for being mean to Siri.
Yeah. You just described the obelisk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see those robots dancing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boston
That shit
Dynamics.
was wild.
Yeah.
At first they was offbeat though. I don't know if y'all saw it.
Yeah.
It was offbeat, but then they got back on.
I
You
saw.
call them white robots?
That company is actively seeking
some
to
white
end
robots.
humanity.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the goal is. Like I understand
Yeah.
experimenting and shit, but like what are you trying to do, fam? It looked like the little prototype Iron Man suits is what I saw.
In the states of New Jersey and Rhode Island, incest between adults is legal. However, neither state permits marriage. In New Jersey, each person involved in the relationship must be at least 18 years old. In Rhode Island, the age of consent is 16 years old. So,
Oh my goodness.
So it turns out I unwittingly just picked the most incestuous state as the least. That's an all-time fuck up on my part. My bad. My bad. I got to take. Listen, good people of Tennessee, especially all you guys in the middle part of the state, Pigeon Forge, shout out. I did not mean to impugn your great state with an incest joke earlier. Turns out I was the one who was wrong. That's one of those prejudices I need to overcome. Is
There you
that
go.
I felt like people in New England could not commit incest. Turns out they're the best at it.
In Montana and Idaho, you can receive up to a life sentence for it.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not advocating it. It's just like I gotta go to jail for life because I got horny at a family reunion. That's kind of
Oh my god.
Sneaky Massachusetts is
Yeah,
like Western Mass.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I was gonna say like the Kennedys are pretty, even if they're not like brother sister, like they're a pretty incestuous clan by nature.
Yeah, yeah. If you were to look at the Kennedys and you're born in that family, you just look around, and you're like, wow, a lot of us are really good looking.
Yeah, like no one else from Boston talks like that. Like they got something else going on.
gotta keep this here in the house. Huh?
Yeah.
Can't let these genes out of this here pool. All right. Well, yeah. Well, how do you go about determining what the punishment should be? What is that conversation even like? Like you sit down in an assembly room somewhere and you're like, so, all right, brother and sister, fuck. How much time do those people need to be locked up in a cell together? Like, where does that conversation start? Because you don't want to throw out the first number, because if you throw out the first one,
And you
the other
move on.
person might be like, what? That's not harsh at all.
That's one where you gotta go way higher than you actually think.
That's
That's the
what I
life
think the
sentence.
guy. That's the life sentence
Yeah.
guy. It's either that, or he's actually fucking his sister, and he's going to throw everybody else off. Like I'm the guy that said life.
And
Fuck
who's
that.
the one reporting it? Like who is like bringing them to court?
I don't know. I think if you catch somebody,
Unfortunately,
Jealous cousin.
Jealous third
the
cousin.
sad reality is most of this is like molestation. It's kind of sad.
yeah, or like if there's a pregnancy
Don't
and then
rain our
Yeah,
parade with reality. We were having fun, Billy.
All right, back
Fuck it
to
up with
back to
that.
the fantasy conversation. The one guy goes life sentence, and the other guy's like, "Oh fuck."
What do you do? Just disagree?
I think that's too harsh for incest. Like you have some balls to say that on the record in front of people.
Yeah. I'm standing my ground here. I'm not fucking my sister, but you shouldn't go to jail for life if that's
Yeah.
what you choose to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
How in case.
And then if it's a small town like Rhode Island or something, or a small state, then everybody goes home and says, so this guy objects to fucking life sentences. What a trash human being.
Oklahoma couple get life in prison for incest.
What
This
kind
is
of
from-
relations do they have?
Do we call them a couple?
This is
Yeah.
from
But they- I was about
2000.
to
That's
say-
a headline
I was about
from
to say they called 'em a couple.
2019
They called 'em a couple.
CNHI News. Paul's Valley, Oklahoma couple acting on the husband's fantasies of incest.
Whoa. What happens
Hang
when...
on, I'm reading before I read more out loud.
right.
You know, this is a podcast, right? So
What happens when...
Okay, yeah, no,
off.
yeah, they should be in prison.
all right, read.
They should be in prison. It was not, yeah, they should be in jail.
Do
For
not want to
sure.
say that.
What
You
if?
gonna tell us why?
What
You
if-
gonna
No,
tell us why?
I'll tell. Well, when the show ends.
No,
late-
it's public information.
Yeah, people
Yeah,
can
FOIA.
Google it if they want to, but I did
But
say
why
the
can't
name
we
of the
say it?
I said the name of the outlet in the headline. Y'all can go look it up.
Huh. All right. Well,
Love is love.
No, that you shouldn't have said that. Yeah, you shouldn't have said that, buddy.
Oh, fuck
Might have
yeah.
to cut that.
Big T, where would you come down on this if Scott and Lacey Peterson were brother and sister?
See, now we're getting
Nah.
so far off topic.
Oh yeah.
Oh, now we're getting
Now
off
that-
topic.
That's the
You've
line.
gone too
I don't
far when you
understand.
start talking-
I don't understand what that means. I genuinely don't.
Okay. Well, I'll have to read this story that you pulled up. Anything else we got? We got sick merch.
We do.
Was there chemical weapons in Iraq?
Oh, as yellow journalism?
Yeah,
I think that's an entire episode that we should do.
true.
Is
Yeah.
the lead up to the Iraq War.
the WMDs.
Yeah.
We're gonna
I
find them
referenced
any
that-
day.
I referenced that earlier when I was talking about George Bush. I said Afghanistan, but I meant Iraq.
We're gonna find those WMDs any day.
The only thing I had the William Randolph Hearst Hate in My Heart ready to go as always, but we focused a lot on print, and when we talked about Rwanda, we talked about radio a little bit. TV has been such a catalyst to modern yellow journalism, like talking even like as something as like banal as like sports, like where you don't even really need yellow journalism, but it still very much exists. But I think one piece of media that people like either hated or just weren't expecting, Anchorman 2 does a phenomenal job explaining what happened with television news. Like it came out, I think, while I was a journalism student, so I was watching it through a little bit of a different lens. And that fucking movie, how they pivoted from like actual like news to, well, cable news now needs to be 24 hours. Let's just focus on car chases and the stuff we were talking about earlier. Like Anchorman 2 was quietly a very brilliant movie.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 1,000%. It's when entertainment gets interwoven with news.
Yeah.
When I need to be entertained while I'm being informed, then the entertainment in this society, in this economic society, with capitalism being the main catalyst, profit is the motive. It's no longer the pertinent accuracy of the information. It's all about how much money can you bring, how much click can you bring in, and that will always supersede.
Yeah, the
Great
whole
fucking point.
the whole pay scale or the economics of news is completely broken right now, and there's no good way to solve it, I don't think, because people are going to continue to click on stories that are sensationalized, that make them feel that fear that we were talking about earlier, that drive them like further and further into their own preconceived thought of what they thought was really going on. People love to be like have their opinions justified by headlines and by news stories that are tailor-made almost for them at times. And so it just makes people more and more divided. And I don't really see a way out of that, like siloing of media. I really don't. Like the only way out would be if there was like a billionaire like Jeff Bezos that would buy all the, or like a series of media networks or channels and then just like go live on an island somewhere with no internet connection and not run it. Like not have anything to do with like the operation of it because
Well, he's buying them,
does.
but he's very interested in running them.
well, that's what I'm saying. So like if somebody if they were just self-funded somehow and then they just paid the best people to cover the best stories and just
Well,
trusted
I
the
don't-
people where it's
I
their
don't think that's
profession.
it. I don't think that's it. Here's why, my G. Because in this society, it's a supply and demand. So people want that. That's what
Right.
people want.
Yeah.
And I always tell people all the time, like if you had a rational society, TMZ would not be a thing. Shade Room would not be a thing, right? Like these gossip outlets that are fucking eroding us, they wouldn't be a thing. But they are a thing because that's what our desires are. Our desire, we want that blood. We want to see those car chases. We want to see those train wrecks. And so the only remedy I see is actually starts at the childhood level. Like there should be curriculum. We got all serious again, but there should be curriculum to combat how to navigate social media. Like that should be like I'm talking about like elementary, we should be teaching kids how to navigate social media, how to navigate news outlets, like all that, because then they can really get taught critical thinking, and that next generation, you'll have a way more, a higher probability of kids that understand what they're being fed, and it's just garbage, and the supply will go, I mean the demand will go down, so the supply will naturally go down in this economy.
I agree with you, but now we need to figure out like who writes that curriculum and how it gets implemented.
Republicans, of course.
Well, there's how many people do you think are qualified to write that sort of curriculum, though? I think it's probably a pretty small amount of people, right?
Well, I mean, I think that's something that should be bipartisan, because suicide rates are up, depression is up, anxiety is up. That should be a bipartisan thing where we sit down together and be like, listen, this bill should be just about curriculum of social media and internet navigation for children. And we should just sit down with the best minds of the right and the best minds of the left, lock them in a room, have some Raising Cane's on one side and Zaxby's on the other side, and let's bang it out.
Which political party do you think would have which?
I said we put it in the middle.
50-50. Yeah. Everybody gets 2 chicken fingers from Cane's, 2 from Zach's.
There you go. And then we can vote on that. Which one's better?
That's right. That's like the McDonald's theory all over again, but brought like closer in to American politics. Republicans and Democrats will get along if we put them in a room with fast food together.
People are actually going to get upset about that too, the Raising Cane's thing.
Bring it on.
Definitely.
Controversy sells. That's yellow journalism. Let's make a yellow journalism quote card from this episode that gets people really mad, and then forces them to click on our podcast. Like what did you say? What's the most controversial thing you said about Raising Cane's?
I said the chicken's not that good. The salsa is, which is what everybody goes there for. The toast is great. The toast is great, but the fries.
Yeah, you
got to
go double toast. Everyone knows that.
But the fries are not good, and the chicken's not that great.
I mean, we can steal a Tyler take that always get. You just say all fries are bad.
Oh my goodness.
That's a shit take.
That's a terrible take.
Take it up with your boy.
I'm gonna text him. Fuck, all fries are bad.
His logic's sound. His logic is sound.
Yo, I you know what? I'm gonna give him that. So I ain't gonna bang on him too hard until he tells me, because he said some shit. I think he invited me on his show one time. This nigga said, abolish the NBA draft. And at first I was like, what the fuck is you talking about, bro? You're bugging. But then he said the reasons as to why. I was like, bro, you got me. Let's get rid of that shit.
Yeah, no, he's a logical human being. I'll let him explain it to you, but for the people who can't reach out and text Tyler, his take is that would you rather have a burger and fries or a burger and nuggets? Majority of people would be like, yeah, let me get those nuggets. The fries are one of the worst things you can have on a typical fast food menu. And a place like Five Guys, who gives it to you by the truckload, furthers his point. It's like, how are they giving you so many if they're that good? Like, they don't give you 3 burgers for that price. Of course, the fries, they shovel them in there. He'll say it more eloquently via text. But his point is, like, if you compared it to McNuggets or another burger, it isn't as good.
So are you saying that
Big T just moved the seat up?
Well, no, I've done that several times. But so that's the cookout model.
Exactly. He uses cookout a lot as an example.
You go to cookout, they give you nuggets as a side. It's fantastic.
So I think that's what he's saying, and I might have to agree with him, is we're indoctrinated to having fries on the side.
Right.
And we're judging it's making the best of a bad situation.
So like we're not comparing fries against nuggets. In our minds, we're comparing fries against coleslaw.
Right.
Right. We're saying I'd rather have fries and coleslaw. I actually would rather have fries and nuggets, I think, because I don't know, like combining beef and chicken in the same bite sometimes. I don't know, it makes me feel weird.
Nah, it's delicious.
It's delightful, yeah.
I mean, shit, if you take one bite of a chicken, odds are it's not the same chicken. It's probably like 13 chickens mixed in one nugget.
Also true.
That's a good point. Strength in numbers. All right, we got anything else?
People asking about the July 4th shirts. I will be sure to get those back in the store by the end of this week.
Sweet, the July 4th shirts. Not just for the 4th of July. They're
just America.
Cool designs.
Olympics. They
have frogs on. Oh, yeah, shout out to the Olympics. I'm sure that's going to go off really well. Like Everyone has COVID in Japan. No one's vaccinated. Delta variant. I don't know. I just hear people talking about the Delta variant a lot. My prediction is I don't think that the Olympics will like go on for the entire 2 weeks if they go on at all.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't see
Like
it.
they're just gonna shut it all down.
The country doesn't want it to be there
Yeah.
in the first place. And
Most
so-
countries never want the Olympics to be there.
Yeah, they're basically just getting strong-armed into having the Olympics. I don't know, just seeing a lot of bad signs out of Japan. So you can't fuck in the beds like Billy taught me today. This whole thing going on there.
Well,
Don't they always discourage?
Yes.
No, they usually give
having-
free condoms out.
They still
They
are.
always do.
they aren't.
They-
They're only giving them in the goodie bags this year. They're not letting them have it.
I think I read that was wrong also. But I'm not.
Can you
But
not?
Positive.
Can you not like just buy condoms and then
Well, it
bring
can't-
them with
Yeah,
you?
but
They
this is
can't
like a
leave.
college dorm room, like candy bowl type act. Like,
Yeah, you can just go grab.
All right, tell you what. If there's any Olympians listening to me right now, I will buy you condoms. I'll be your condom guy, and I'm just gonna send you a note that says like, "Don't wrap it up, pussy."
Or like the beds. I think I saw the beds can support 440 pounds. So just find like a really light athlete.
Or just normal sized athletes
Yeah,
even.
2 normal size athletes.
Just-
Well, it just depends what sport you're playing.
shot
2
putters.
shot putters.
Shot putters,
probably
yeah.
fine.
But like 2 gymnasts, any day.
If you throw the shot put, you might want to try to size down just to a discus thrower.
Or like a long jumper.
Then you'll fall under the requirements.
I mean,
You know, it's not talked about enough. How fucking dumb the steeplechase is.
yeah.
A lot of
It's
it's
pretty-
dumb. A lot of the
it's
Olympics
pretty
are
stupid.
dumb.
Yeah, 100%. Like the javelin's pretty stupid too.
I think javelin's actually pretty cool.
Nigga,
'Cause-
you throwing a stick.
You're throwing a spear that like has like application.
Okay.
Not a mark.
Shot put, you're just throwing the ball.
A spear is a sharp stick. I'm saying, matter of fact, most of the Olympics are pretty fucking dumb.
Trash.
But
Beach volleyball's the best one.
Gymnastics.
throwing a
fire.
spear was like if you could throw a spear like they throw a spear like
No, but these
1,000 years ago, like you were like a boss.
These spears
Yeah.
are de-weaponized, though. They're like they've become a piece of sporting equipment. I don't even think that you can kill anybody with them. If you look,
No.
it's like they did with the
Actually,
guns.
people die at track meets
If
all
they
the time.
all the time.
Yeah, they get hit by
All-
discus
all the
and all
time.
that stuff.
Oh, well, discus.
Well, yeah.
But not
discus.
javelin.
That's a real weapon.
Yeah.
I had a coach in high school who my girlfriend at the time had a sister who was just throwing a shot put and hit my coach in the head and fucked him up. Like he was really never the same.
Jeez.
Like it was a
Oh.
real it was a
They're
real-
heavy as fuck. They made me throw all 3 in high school. Terrible at javelin, only did that once. Really good at discus, not to brag. Horrible at shot put. Just so fucking heavy. Like who's throwing? Like it's way too heavy.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, I think we can get rid of 80% of the Olympics events.
Yeah.
Like,
Stronger.
who won the last javelin gold?
I only pay attention to the javelin if there's an American that's about to win the decathlon, and then I'm like, oh, that's one of the things that this person's better than me at.
I mean, I just remember Brad Pitt and Troy hitting a dude with a spear, and I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
Yeah, that
awesome.
was sick. That was sick.
That's what you think of when you think of the javelin throw. When you see somebody throwing javelin, you're like fucking Troy. Yeah.
But he didn't even throw that. He jumped past him and stabbed him, right? Oh no, you're right. He did hit him
In front of
there's
the
another one.
temple.
Yep. You're right. My mistake.
Another dude hit him with an archery in the foot
Yeah.
in game.
Yeah, archery is way cooler than javelin.
I'll take
Achilles.
archery's actually fire. We could keep archery.
Yeah, Arian, what would you keep?
I would keep archery. I would keep all the track and field events except the steeplechase. And I don't think I'd keep javelin. I think discus and shot puts are
That's a
okay.
field event, though.
So
So you said keep all the track and field events.
He meant like the running aspect.
Yeah, when I went the running aspect.
The
yeah,
track.
except for steeplechase.
Track of the track and field.
All right, nigga. That's what I'm saying.
Running in a
Bro,
straight line,
bro,
stupid.
Bro, no, it's not.
No,
to see who the
speed
fastest
sells.
human being on earth is,
Speed
that's-
cells.
I guarantee you can name 4 or 5 Olympic gold medalists 100-meter dash, like 100%. Like it's just a better. Like when you say, I don't know if you ever Billy went to a track meet, but when you like, yo, I'm going to the track meet. Nobody went to go watch.
Nobody.
the steeplechase or the high jump or the whatever, or maybe the high jump, but like the what's the pole vault, right? Nobody went to go watch
pole vault's
those.
Pole vault.
stupid. That's
I
stupid.
think
So
pole
dumb.
vault-
But that's what I'm saying. Like nobody went to go watch that. You went to go watch the 100, the 200, the 400, right? Those were the ticket sellers. Like those, that's the attraction of the Olympics and the attraction of track and field per se. The field is just comes with it.
We need to get rid of most of like the boring ones and have more. Like what I'm trying to say is Carmelo Anthony should have more medals. Like there should have been 1-on-1, 2-on-2, like
3-point shootout.
yeah, all of it. Like there's no reason, and they have 3-on-3 now, but it's not like it's different rule. Like no one's ever played the type of 3-on-3 they have in the Olympics. It's very strange rule. Like as soon as the ball goes in, you just clear it and go. Like no, check up. Everyone knows how to play 3-on-3 in the entire fucking planet. There's no reason to make it different now.
They play
Time out,
two
time out.
baskets.
No.
They gotta hoop it up for the Olympics.
Yeah, they got 3-on-3.
Oh my god!
It's
See,
chaos.
When you
It's
say
chaos.
clear it and go, like just take it out past the 3-point line.
The ball goes through the net. I think you have 3 seconds before it's a turnover. You have to get the ball. If you're on the other team, like the team that didn't make it, you have to get it, clear it. There's no checking it. You just go. The second it's cleared, you can pass it right back to the dude under the hoop, and he can score.
See, that sounds like a PE.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
Sounds like when I was
version
playing in
of
my
that.
driveway.
That honestly sounds
Yeah.
exhausting.
it is. It's fucking. Red Bull had an event at Barclays, and for some reason, I was invited to go try it out. Like and I was gassed.
What's the joint where they scrub the ice?
Curling.
Curling.
Get it out of here. Get it
Oh no, bad
Get it out of
take.
here.
All business
that-
feet's gonna be furious.
Who won gold in '96 curling?
96.
Probably.
Juiced up Russians.
I'm gonna guess Finland.
I could tell you in '96. I think it was Maurice Green. Was it Maurice Green? 200 and 400. Michael Johnson won the gold in '96. It's just you remember it more. Like it just matters.
By the way, Coley, earlier you said nobody ever wants the Olympics. The one city that did sold to get the Olympics was Atlanta, and we haven't won shit since, and that's why.
Yeah.
Beijing. The Beijing Olympics is pretty insane. China wanted that one. You can see that.
For sure. Most people, I mean, they were trying to get it to Boston a few years ago, like the smallest city in America. And like our mayor and governor were like, please, we need the Olympics. And every single person who lived here was like, we will raid your homes if you get the Olympics. Like this will not end well for you.
Oh,
they should
dude.
do it like some small town, like fucking
Lake
South
Placid.
Dakota.
Yeah,
What was that, like Lilyhammer? Isn't Lilyhammer tiny?
Yeah, Winter Olympics. They're usually not necessarily in big.
Lake
They-
Placid is the coolest place I've ever been.
I love Lake Placid.
Dude,
So
they,
awesome.
they just dropped the Jeff Bezos astronaut picture of everyone going to space with him. And Jeff Bezos has serious HGH jaw growth.
All right.
I'm serious.
I like how everybody on that space mission in the picture is like their body is aligned towards Jeff. Like
Yeah.
he's very much the centerpiece of it. Everyone must show.
How much did they
deference.
have to pay to go on that?
Jeff is juiced to the gills.
Wait, send it in the group chat.
I love it. That's one thing that we should do. Spread the word when Jeff Bezos comes back from space. Just everyone pretend like you don't know who he is. Everyone.
He's got to be the easiest to rob person of all time right now, right?
Yeah. Yes.
'Cause-
Absolutely.
Why? Because he's in space.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if we just, like, while he was away, it was just like, yo, guys, you gonna do that wealth redistribution? He's out of the house. The cat's away.
Yeah, we're drinking all of his booze because Dad's gone.
We're just gonna do this one guy, and then we're starting again.
Yeah, you're right, Billy. He does look juiced up.
Yeah.
I don't trust him.
Because you can tell it's one side of his face. Who was saying they saw him? Wasn't like Roan saying he saw him?
Hey, give me your top 10, Billy. Next episode, give me your top 10 dudes that is juicing but never got caught in the NFL.
True.
This is an interesting fact from our guy, Neil deGrasse Tyson. The net worth of Jeff Bezos is about $200 billion. A stack of that many dollar bills would reach twice as high as his Blue Origin's rocket launch. So it sounds to me like old Neil here is saying that Jeff is going to fake space. Like, not actually an astronaut. If I'm reading between the lines a little bit. Might be some beef going on there.
Yeah, Neil. You know, what's interesting to me about him is like you could tell he's like really left leaning atheist, but he will never go out in public and say that. Like he's never told me that personally, but like you could just tell me he just won't say that shit publicly because like he'll lose like anytime you like are a character and you take a side in anything political, you lose fans. I don't think he wants to do that.
Neil, come on the show.
Come out of the closet, Neil.
Come on, Macrodosing, Neil. I would actually like to talk to him on the show. We had him on Part of My Take a while ago. He was fascinating, but would like to talk to him again.
That's my guy.
All right. Anything else?
Follow us on TikTok at Macrodosing Podcast.
There you go. What color's Big T's underwear?
Black.
All right. If you don't get it this time, we gotta let it go for a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that black?
It's black.
It's
Is that
black.
black or blue?
No, it's black.
It's black. He's
I'm
got
back.
blue undies.
Last week I got it right too. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
So
I don't know.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
2 in a row?
All right. So
Yeah.
we're 2 in a row now.
I think that's how we started too. I think you got
Yeah.
2 in a row, didn't get one for like 15 weeks, and then 2 in a row again.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, guys. We will see you guys next week. As always, DM us. Tell us that we're handsome. And if you have any criticism, if you have any feedback for us, let us know in there. Just be polite about it.
Send it to Billy. Don't send it to me.
Yeah, Billy will read all of it.
And if you want to be a macrodosing athlete,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, if you want to be a macrodosing athlete, let us know.
let us know.
But again, we are looking for an athlete at the University of Tennessee that's big time fuck the system guy or girl. And you said preferably African American, right?
Yeah, brother or sister.
All right. Well, we'll get hot on the trail of that.
Mhm.
Love you guys.